You know, I wasn't going to talk about it, Lonzo, but I am going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because I am genuinely and legitimately freaked out a little bit. Like, not like panic sets across the nation, freaked out, but like mildly very confused right now.
I don't know. This is might be a sign of early something.
That's why I'm freaked out.
Okay.
And this is not even like sarcastic, haha, funny. So this morning, to start the week, and it is, I am one of these weirdos that genuinely believes that it is important to start your Monday with a tone that you would like the rest of your week to follow, right? So I try on Mondays when I get up and get going. I try on Mondays to like be very pleasant on Monday morning and be punctual. It's probably the only time in my life I do it. Like I make an effort to be punctual, right? I got a time I want to be. Here's the nice thing. I don't have a time I have to be here on Monday mornings because nobody else is here with the exception of the other people who work mornings. So I don't really have a time I have to be here, but I got a time I like to be here. I like to be here on Mondays somewhere between 4:30 and 4:45. And that gives me an extra 10 minutes to like, you know, put my drinks in the fridge and move stuff around and whatever else I got to do. So I like to be here like no later than 4:45 on Mondays. And so this morning I get up with my alarm at my normal time. No worries. I get going. When I wake up, I usually spend, because the dog and the cat both get up when I get up. So I spend a couple of minutes with the dog and the cat, take a shower, get dressed in the bro cave. I usually pop, Sports Center onto the TV while I'm getting ready. And then when I get done with the shower, I'll get dressed, put on the glasses and the hat. Got to pick them out to match the outfit for the day. Walk out to the living room, spend a couple of minutes out there, like collecting whatever odds and ends I got to bring to the office or whatever. So this morning I get up and I'm doing all that. I'm just going through the motions, just like my normal Monday morning, on schedule to be here at 4:45, except for my phone pops off with a text from Lonzo. And I assume when I get that text from Lonzo, I assume that he's texting me at like 4:30 to tell me, hey, I'm not feeling great. Brandon's in, or T2's going to come produce. I'm out, or, you know, or telling me, hey, FYI, I'm going to be a few minutes late. I got a flat tire, or the compound came under attack from the Russians and I'm on the defense right now. Whatever. Just like minor, like random and frequent details of his life.
The last one was the one that's most likely, for sure.
So I'm like, all right.
Stinking Ruskies.
Like, I don't know why Lonzo's texting me at like 4:30 in the morning, but like, that's all right. It's all good. Let me get all my stuff together. Let me get to the car. Let me get on the road. And, you know, once I plug my phone into my car, my phone will go, you have one new text message from Lonzo. Would you like to hear it? Yes, please, car. Lonzo says, under attack from communist. Will be there at 5:40. Would you like to respond? And I would just respond, thumbs up emoji, car. Normal stuff. Except for I sit in my car and I look at my text at 5:37 a.m. as I'm coming down the street. Don't text and drive. And it says, you up? And I'm like, yeah, Lonzo, like obviously I'm up. You know, I'm like 5 minutes late, but I'm usually like almost to the studio. You know, I'm up. So I like start typing a response. Yeah, what's up? Thinking he's going to be like, you know, I'm on the pooper this morning, not going to make it or whatever. And then I'm like, what time is it? Am I off the rocker? And I look, and sure as hell, it was 5:37 a.m. I got up with because there have been mornings, great one. And I'll tell you how the game works in my house. I have my phone. I have my regular wake up alarm. Then I have an Alexa that has my backup alarm. That's the alarm that if it goes off, it's waking Courtney up, and Courtney's going to reach over and she's going to slap me. So I get up. I got to get up now, right? And then I have a third alarm that's on the Alexa out in the kitchen. And it's very loud, and she can't hear you over herself from the kitchen. So if that one goes off, now I'm late for work. And so I got to get up and I got to go out to the kitchen to turn that off. I got up. I turned off my regular phone alarm. I never heard the bedroom alarm because if I wake up before that, I tell her, hey, don't do the alarm today. I won't. And then I walk out to the kitchen and I go, hey, Alexa, no alarm this morning. And she'll go, you got it, sexy. And then I just go about my day. I got up. I did both of those things. Normal morning. I twilight zoned an hour of my morning this morning. Genuinely, I had my own personal daylight savings time this morning. I'm not kidding. I wish this was a joke. There is an hour of my life that is missing from this morning. There's an hour of my life that has been David Copperfielded out of existence, and I don't know where it went.
Well, you should say thank you, or someone should say thank you to whoever got that hour. Someone got it.
Someone's going to be massively productive today because they just stole it. I don't know what happened. When I read the text from Lonzo that said you up, which came in at what to me was 4:37, which is, I was about 5 minutes behind where I usually like to be on a Monday, usually at the point that I'm rolling down the driveway. It's between 4:20 and 4:30. It was 4:37, so I was 7 minutes behind my regular schedule. But it's not egregious. I'm still going to be in the office by 5:40, 4:45, 4:50 maybe, on that schedule, 4:52. And I will also say I did most of my show prep. In fact, I did all my show prep last night. I did my show prep last night. It just kind of was what it was. You up? Yeah, why? Of course I'm up. What do you mean am I up? It's Monday. Of course I'm up. I got to work. And he didn't have to send a second text. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I know.
I don't send those, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
And if I did, it would not be to Rob.
Miss Lisa would appreciate it. Come on, Zoe, be romantic.
She's asleep right now.
Let's keep the fire alive. I said, yeah, I swear to everything. I thought it was 4:37. I have no idea where my hour went. Be there just before showtime. I was wondering why you were texting me, and then I looked at the clock. I twilight zoned an hour of my morning. I'm hauling ass. And I am dead serious, kind of freaked out a little bit. Because it's not if I would have snoozed the alarm and went back to sleep for another hour, the other two alarms would have woken me up, and they're set for every day. I don't ever have to tell her not to set. I just have to go, don't play the alarm this morning. And she'll go, okay, disregarding alarm. Not this morning.
I'm trying to be nice this week because I'm only here 3 days. It's going to be very difficult not playing the alarm thing. But, I'm just letting you know.
I'm saying alarm.
People out on the road this morning, there was a lot of weaving and sleeping going on, including big semi trucks, where you have to make that decision. Okay, which side should I try to speed past so I don't die? So I think there are a lot of people in your situation this morning. At least there were on 385 on my way in.
I don't know, man. It was just weird. I was on my regular, casually went in.
That's the kind of thing that happens on a Sunday. And you're like,
for sure.
Yeah. And then you realize, oh crap, it's Sunday. I don't need to go to work.
Ordinarily when something like this happens, it's there's something I really want to watch on TV tonight, right? Oh, there's a Braves Phillies at 7 p.m. And I'm sitting there making dinner and frying up my bologna sandwich or whatever. And then Courtney will be like, I thought you wanted to watch the baseball game. I will. It's at 7. She's like, it's 7:15, right? What? Huh? No, it's not. It's 6:15, right?
So this is not your first time losing time.
No, but I can, in years gone, in all the times it's happened before, I can usually attribute it to something. Oh yeah, I got involved in writing this project or recording this or reading this or whatever, right? Like I can attribute it to something, because you know how sometimes you get into that flow state and you're doing something and you're not really paying it, but you can account for it, right? You jump into a video game and you think it's 6 o'clock and Miss Lisa knocks on the door and goes, it's 7 o'clock. And you're like, where did that hour go? Oh, I was fighting, whatever demon in the pits of hell. That's where that hour went. No, this morning, it just gone. Like Heather would say, poof, just gone. And I have no knowledge of how it happened. None. Mondays are important to me. They are important to set the tone of the week. They are important to get up again. And it's, for the record, the only day of the week that you get like motivational Rob Brown. Wake up and make Monday set the tone for the rest of your week. That's how you be a productive American. That's not me. My attitude on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is like, get up, take your time getting ready, right? Like, don't rush through it. Enjoy your morning. You only get so many mornings in this world. Enjoy it for what it's worth. Take in like that. Like when I'm usually getting ready for work, like the birds are just coming alive. Gentle breeze through the Carolina hills.
Birds are not real. They don't come alive. They get turned on.
Whatever. The drones are making their morning cycle. Like ordinarily when I get going in the morning, I sorry to be like, lame or whatever, but I appreciate the morning for what it is. And for the record, as a not morning person, okay, I slept till like 11:45 yesterday morning. And it was immaculate.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't care.
I wish I could do that.
Don't care.
I was up at 6:30.
Okay.
Which is still sleeping in.
I was up at like 5:45 to let the dog out, but then I went back to bed till like 11:30. It was amazing. I caught up on all the sleep that I needed. Spectacular. Got up this morning, ready to just enjoy my morning, take my time. I was going to consider maybe popping into the gas station and get myself a little protein bar for the AM. Thought about it all. Nope. You up? Yeah, why would I not be up? It's 4:40. Oh, God. That is the most apt description of the mental breakdown that I had when I read Lonzo's text that I could possibly give you. I don't know how to explain it better than that. When I had that realization, it was like the Undertaker's bell went off in my head. And I just didn't react. It was wild.
Well, I would have had you call in. We would have started a show, and you could have given a firsthand account of the morning whilst outside.
It was bad, man. I don't know what to say. But what I do know to say now is to answer the texter that just texted in.
Thank you, Kirk. What I do know.
How we're going to approach the next 4 hours of our lives. Texter said, is this a sports radio program? Yes, it is, Texter, and I'm glad you're here for it. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. It's show enough is, and we are going to get to a lot of sports because we had a lot go on. The break, Atlanta.
Hey, Texter, don't make us Mark Ryan you.
Atlanta, what are we doing? And I'm glad to be asking this question.
We're about to see the opposite of panic now.
Yeah.
Because you understand panic,
yeah,
but you don't know how to do the opposite of that.
I don't know how to handle / understand what just happened. Atlanta in a 3-game set against the NL leading Philadelphia Phillies didn't just take 2 out of 3 from Philly. They beat them. Game 1 was a bit of a fluke because it actually was a good game for Atlanta off the bump and in on the field. It was just the bats weren't alive, which has been the problem for this Braves team, right? The pitching has been shockingly good. Chris Sale is a monster. Reynaldo Lopez is an all-star. This has been wild. Wild. And then, for whatever reason, on Saturday and Sunday, the bats woke up. And I kind of think maybe it's my fault. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious, as Michael Scott would say. I watched the game Saturday and Sunday. I watched them both because I'm a masochist. I was like, let me tune in. Let me watch the chaos. Let me make my weekend worse. Let me watch the Braves for both games. Because I'm not going to lie. I had kind of pulled off a little bit. I had kind of pulled back from Atlanta a little bit. I was like, they stink. Let me dedicate some time to other stuff, right? I got to catch up on the wrestling. I'm not going to lie. I haven't watched more than like 5-6 laps of any NASCAR race in the last few weeks. I got them all saved on the DVR, right? Let me go back and watch some NASCAR. Check in on some WNBA over the weekend. Real good. Angel Reese has a dozen double-doubles in a row. You know how ridiculous that is? Caitlin Clark knocked out a triple-double this weekend. Let me check in on the WNBA. Let me see where all this is going. I thought, no worries. I'll catch up. And then on Saturday, for whatever reason, we're fostering a dog that we're looking for a home for. Real skittish, scared dog, so we can't really leave the house. Kind of got to just sit in one place while she learns to open up or whatever. I'm like, let me just watch some baseball. And the Braves come out on Saturday, and they hit the damn ball. And then they come out on Sunday, and not only do they hit the ball, but Reynaldo Lopez goes 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs. They skunk Philadelphia. The best offense in the National League. The best offense arguably in baseball, and the Braves just skunk them. Now, I know there's no Bryce Harper out there. I know they're missing their big dogs. I know Kyle Schwarber's not out there. They're pure DH. I know their boys aren't out there. But everybody else is. Brandon Marsh is out there. Nick Castellanos is out there. They still got dudes in that lineup. Lopez throws a gem, and he gets the 6-0 shutout win. Chris Sale looks phenomenal. The bullpen for Atlanta, by the way, all of a sudden, looks like it should just be the NL All-Star team. It's unreal. They have like a combined July ERA of 1.7 something right now. It's insane. Where have you been, Atlanta? So we're going to talk some Braves ball later in the show. Got some football. I watched the first episode of Hard Knocks last night. I have one thing I really liked and one thing I'd like to complain about.
You're watching the Giants?
Yeah, why not? Why not? They stank last year. Why not find out what a team that stinks looks like behind the scenes after they're done stinking? I'm going to talk about that. Talk some wrestling. Well, I know we got Fight Club on Thursday, but we did have Alonso's not going to be here. We got Fight Club on Wednesday, but we did have a huge wrestling announcement that came down the pipe before Money in the Bank on Sunday. Saturday. See, time is not real. It's a flat circle, and if you're not careful, hours of your life will just delete themselves from existence. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
That's cool, Adam. He needs it because he's got kids. Hopefully it comes with a bump in pay. I mean, sure one of those kids, his name is Johnny, and Johnny's hungry.
You have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping,
Do you know
double
how to spin a
feature,
ball?
double header,
So I can do a lot of things in
So
basketball.
basically double or
A
nothing.
lot of things.
You were
Every month, eh?
Trueston?
I don't
You didn't think you knew
that.
that?
I'm doing paleo. They have gluten-free.
Oh, you know you better than
You
that.
can't juggle every food request for a work event.
You think all your teammates did what they need to do?
The one thing that I cannot sit there and practice this all day?
I can do like a half a second, maybe.
Easy care,
About
saves your
10,000.
family runs and orders, which makes reordering
Like the
a
point
snack.
guard?
Need to modify
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to food for work, make it
Where'd
easy
you
on
bounce it
yourself
off your knee?
with Easycater.
That's
Start your
it.
order at easycater.com.
Oh, he almost did it.
Should someone be able to know how to do this if they play basketball?
Oh, he did it though. Drew Holiday spinning on his finger, bounced it off his knee, and got it back to the finger.
Do you feel like you should be able to as a basketball player?
It's awesome. Steph Curry can't spin the ball. In his
He can't?
No,
Is that
that's
who that
him.
is?
That's who it is.
Wow. I could do that.
They showed him. They showed him like 5 times because he can't do it.
I can do that.
He actually watched that, Zach. He didn't watch last night though.
Yes, I have watched it. I watched it yesterday. I didn't watch it Saturday night. I watched Monday Night yesterday.
I watched it yesterday too, but because Peacock sucks, and so I watched the end of it Saturday night when I got home from work, and then it's like, yeah, I'll just watch the rest tomorrow, so I can actually, can't wait till I get to Netflix.
Same for that exact reason.
It definitely don't spoil about the ending last night because that was amazing. I'm gonna go with that.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Happy Monday morning, my dudes and my dudettes. Spectacular to have you here with us on a Monday morning. A lot of stuff we got to get into. So I started watching Hard Knocks last night. Decided what the heck. Let's give it a run. I will acknowledge that I kind of bailed out of Hard Knocks for a little while. And I think it's because, and we've talked about this, it kind of lost its grittiness, right? Like the first few years of Hard Knocks, and Mike, it has been on the air so much longer than I thought it had.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know.
It's like 2001 or something crazy.
No, I thought it was earlier than that.
Either way, it's been on the air a very long time. And I very much remember watching it many moons ago. And it was very gritty, right? Like there was no holding back. They were showing guys getting cut, showing guys getting pink slipped, showing guys getting hurt. I mean, it was the gritty side of football. And granted, I haven't watched it in depth. I've seen the highlights and whatever. But I haven't really watched it super in depth in 5-6 years. A lot of it because it kind of got away from, to me,
You were
the
right, by
ugly
the way.
sides of it.
August 1st, 2001. Where'd it go?
Big smart boy.
But you do know that was 23 years ago, right?
Painfully so. In fairness, I was a sophomore in high school. So, ouch. That hurts.
Look at you. I was already a struggling adult.
And now I am here just losing hours of my life at a time. Now, literally. So, when it kind of started shifting away, because I do appreciate Cody Decker and I had this conversation, and I'm going to bring it up later because I'm kind of curious about how y'all feel about it. Deck and I had this conversation.
It's not the only conversation you had.
You saw that too, huh? Sweet.
I sent it to you. Man,
no,
listen.
I'm talking about a different one.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about a much more painful conversation that I will tell you about off the air.
You were full of those.
Oh, it was a wild Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you ready for one more? I'll give you one more. We were doing Parlay v. Parlay Challenge. Deck and I knocked our first 2 legs out in 4 innings. We needed a Juan Soto home run. He was batting, a Juan Soto RBI. He was batting second. He got an extra at-bat. He got 5 at-bats in this game, Lonzo. The guy ahead of him, rookie named Ben Rice. All we needed was for Ben Rice to just get on base, right? Just get on base, let Juan Soto knock you in. This cat, in 3 of his 5 at-bats, hit a multi-run home run that cleared the bases ahead of the guy we had to have an RBI for. And the other 2 at-bats, he was the third out of the inning, so Juan Soto came up first in the next inning with nobody on the bases. I quit the show with 2.5 minutes left. I got up and walked out of there. I was like, Cody Decker's got this, and I just left. I've never been so upset in my life. Anyway, gamblers and y'all were like, oh, I get it. That makes sense. So, sat down, watched Hard Knocks, and I will say there were some interesting parts. For instance, the Brian Burns trade is, at least the first part. The first part is working, okay? They were having a conversation. Brian Shine, the GM for the Giants, meets up on the field with Dave Canales after Canales has been named the head coach of the Panthers. And he's sitting there talking to Canales on the field. And Canales says, like real quiet, almost like a whisper, like he's trying not to let it be overheard. Like he either he knows Shine is mic'd or he doesn't, but he's trying to keep everybody else around the conversation from hearing it. He goes, you want to give us 2 firsts for Burns? And Shine goes, no. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to. And he goes, Canales goes, what about a first and something else? Shine goes, you're headed in the right direction. It was very weird because this trade to me, and I know that this is not the only conversation that got had, right? We know there was obviously a lot more going on. But it felt very weird that the beginning of that trade, because Brian Burns did end up in New York. It felt very weird to me that the beginning of that trade was Canales whispering to the GM on a field, I'm going to send us 2 firsts for Brian Burns. And the Giants immediately going, no, I don't. No, we don't. We know you're not in a position that you can demand that. So no, we do not want to give you 2 firsts for Brian Burns. And here we are. That's not what happened. There was something, I don't know what emotion to assign to it, which is bad because that's quite literally my job, is to verbalize feelings on takes. I don't even know, honestly, I don't even know if, like, what my take is, TBH. I don't know what my take is. I just know that if you're watching a struggling franchise, even if you know Brian Burns was only here for a little while longer, even if you know that the year before that, the LA Rams offered to send, what was it, 2 firsts and what was it, like 3 players or something ridiculous? Like the Rams were willing to sell the farm for Brian Burns. And Carolina said no. And in fairness, I'm not mad at them for having said no at the time. Because the expectations for last year were very high with Frank coming in. We're very high with Tua Tagovailoa Bryce Young. I don't know why I went Tua Tagovailoa. With Bryce Young taking over as the starting quarterback. Like, the expectations were genuinely pretty high for last year. So keeping Brian Burns on for 1 more year was not a mistake. There's a lot of armchair quarterbacks who look back now and they go, oh, y'all were so stupid. Stupid. That's a deep wrestling reference if you get it. For not sending Brian Burns to LA for like multiple first and a couple of starters. That was so dumb. But I think a lot of people and a lot of radio dudes do this. I think a lot of people like to make self-aggrandizing statements about how smart they were because they totally would have made that deal a year and a half ago. They totally would have pulled the trigger. But they never really talk about the context of why they did not. And the context of why Carolina did not was they got their new coach. They got all their new guys. They got their new quarterback. Like there genuinely was. And don't none of y'all have the audacity to tell me right now that you weren't at the least cautiously optimistic going into last year. Don't tell me you weren't cautiously optimistic. I'm not saying you were jazzed up. I'm not saying you were out there getting Carolina Panthers Super Bowl champion tattoos. But don't tell me you weren't cautiously optimistic. We all were. So I'm not mad that they didn't take that trade. I'm just very interested. I'm trying to put a finger on. Let me put it this way. I'm watching this show, Great One. And they're following around Shine, the GM for the Giants. And they like do a thing in his car where he talks about how when he was a scout back in the day, because he had watched 5 NFL games, so he became a scout.
That's all it takes.
And he's like, yeah, when I got the job, like, you know, all I could afford, Scout doesn't pay much, so all I could afford was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then, you know, it became a tradition. Whenever I'm driving somewhere for football stuff, I eat a PB&J. When I got the job as the GM of the Giants on my first day into the work, my wife made me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and that's what I ate on the road into my first day as the general manager. And I'm like, all right, relatable. That's fun, I guess, right? Like cute. That's what I tuned in for. What I tuned into Hard Knocks for was the PB&J habits of a GM. I was curious.
So a GM is trying to make himself human, and you have a problem with that.
It's not what I tune into the NFL Hard Knocks show for. It's just not. All right? It's not. I don't care. I'm never going to watch a Giants game next year and be like, hey, that's our GM. You know, he eats 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a day.
And
How cool
so
is
do
that?
I. So we're like the same.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I've watched 10 NFL games, which means I'm qualified to be a GM. I'm ready. Pick me up, Carolina. Me and Dan Morgan, we'll be like co-GMs. We got this. I tune in for, and listen, I know that I say this as somebody who regularly derails his own show with, here's what's going on in my life. Like when I lose an hour of time in the morning. But to follow this cat and then to see him on a training room field with Dave Canales, to see him standing there and hear Canales just out of the blue. They're just talking. They're like, how you been, man? Congrats on the job. No, congrats on your new job. Congrats on this. Congrats on that. You're doing good. You're doing great. Hey, you want to give us 2 firsts for Brian Burns? And the guy, without hesitation, goes, no, I do not. I don't. How about a first in something else? Hey, you're heading in the right direction. Like, it just felt to me, and I am, let me be clear, I am making a mountain out of a molehill right now. I absolutely am, because there's 1,000 other conversations that took place. But it felt off to me that the head coach put the best defensive player on the team, one of the best defensive players in the NFC, put him on the block by just throwing out, want to give us 2 first? Then immediately got shut down with a no, and that's still where that guy ended up going. It didn't sit right with me for some reason. Can't really explain it. It just didn't sit right with me. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Who is this new guy?
He's the guy over the thing.
He's what?
He's the boss.
Oh, I gotcha.
They didn't send one this morning. Tim sent an email. So to make sure we got one, he did it himself.
Should have had Tim do it.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate. Experience a night of indulgence with bourbon and bacon. It's an evening of sampling bourbons and whiskeys from local, new, and well-known distilleries while feasting on bacon-themed bites from top restaurants in our area. A night of pure indulgence with mounds of bacon, flowing rivers of bourbon, allocated bourbon flavors to tantalize your taste buds. The 5th annual Bourbon and Bacon Fest at the Foundry at Judson Mill in downtown Greenville, Friday, September 27th. Bourbon, bacon, cigars, and sweets. VIP, general admission, and designated driver tickets are on sale now. Your participation directly supports Carolina Adaptive Golf, benefiting veterans and individuals overcoming physical or mental trauma. Don't miss out on the Bourbon and Bacon Fest, Friday, September 27th at Judson Mill, downtown Greenville. Secure your tickets now.
Yeah, but Drew won't be there because he's been suspended
That little thing they did
for
at the
elbowing
desk,
Adam Pierce in the face.
that little
Yeah,
segment they did at that desk was awesome.
It was.
That was so good.
It was.
That was the first time in a while that I'm like, oh yeah, it's good.
My wife was angrily yelling at the screen when CM Punk did what he did because she doesn't like him. And it's just like, it was, which is exactly what they want.
I know, but
Yeah.
I love this angle so much. I am having so much fun with it.
You know, I get it, but to what end? I mean, how does Drew ever come
No
back
one
from all
has
this
ever
stuff?
gone into a fight like this thinking, what's the end goal here? It is two dudes who hate each other, beating the hell out of each other to hurt each other in the worst possible way. For Drew, it's how bad can I hurt Punk physically? For Punk, it's how bad can I hurt Drew mentally?
Yeah, but
And
there's
it's
another
incredible.
angle. There's a third angle, which they did perfectly, and that's Seth Rollins.
Oh, yeah,
because
he's
Seth
the wild
Rollins,
card now.
because Seth Rollins got
Yeah,
screwed over
He's
too.
a wild
And
card now.
before Punk got hurt, it was going to be Seth versus CM Punk,
Yep.
and CM Punk was going to get the title.
I'm getting to it. Hey, I want to talk more about that Hard Knocks thing, and I will later on in the show, but I want to get here because yesterday, my afternoon co-part and I, Cole Bryson, had a disagreement over NASCAR. I was watching the Chicago race yesterday. Yesterday was a good day to be Rob Brown. Hey, I didn't really do anything. We got up late, watched some baseball in the daytime, Braves Phillies, watched some NASCAR in the afternoon, live from Chicago, Illinois. And then last night, watched a little more baseball and watched Money in the Bank. Enjoyable Sunday fun day. I got on Twitter, X, last night, and I saw where my afternoon co-part, C-Money Cole Bryson, sent out a tweet discussing the NASCAR street race that took place out in Chicago. He said, and I'm trying to find the exact tweet so I can quote it. Here it is. He put up a short GIF, and it is GIF, not GIF. That will never change. He put up a short GIF of the boys coming through one of the S turns at Chicago, which is a road course. I set that road course up for you on Friday if you missed it. Effectively, it's 2 square courses that intersect with an S turn in the middle. They got a little curvy part over here. Some of the turns are 90 degrees. Some of them are a little more gradual. It's got a number of different turns, a number of different spots. It's got some lefts and some rights. And Cole said, this just doesn't do it for me. Y'all can have these road courses. Thumbs down emoji. And he got a little bit of reaction from it on his Twitter handle. You can follow him at the Cole Bryson. What a boring name. Anyway, follow me at the Rob Brown Show.
So there's other Cole Brysons out there?
I mean, there's certainly got to be at least one, right?
He had to throw a "the" in
Just
there
to make sure you know which one you're following.
All right, because
if you pop on Twitter and you find at a Cole Bryson, that's not him. That's not him. So JD said, you must not have seen this race yesterday. This is good to get new eyes on the sport. And then JD said to Cole, loser take. Evan said road courses are cool. Street courses suck. And at Horvath Design said, you must be watching on TV and not at the track. This atmosphere is electric, which is not what I really wanted him to say. I wanted him to say this atmosphere is fire. I got that one in a minute. He also got a response from Coach Rob Brown.
You played it Friday, dude.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. No, I did not. I don't think I did. I'm not going to lie. I'm questioning everything about my life.
You lost an hour today. You don't remember Friday.
I'm questioning everything in my life. I'm just sitting here like, and I don't know what to make of it. He also got a reply from one Coach Rob Brown, knower of ball. Rob said, you're lost, dude. I will take one road race before I take 10 boring-ass 1.5 mile cookie cutters. To which Cole responded, yep, nothing like getting up to 65 miles an hour in the heart of NASCAR country, downtown Chicago. And I figured it out. I think I figured it out. I don't think Cole is upset that this was a street race or a road course or whatever you want to call it. I don't think Cole was upset that this race was, no, they're not getting the cars up to $1.95. I am pro street race. I am pro road course. Why? Because I think a NASCAR champion should be obligated to prove that they are a driver with versatility. Should be able to prove that they are a driver that can drive in multiple conditions, multiple types of tracks, multiple styles of racing. You should have to be a good super speedway racer. You should have to be a good short track racer. You should have to be a good road racer. You should have to be a good 1.5 miler. You should have to be good at everything. You can't be like really, really good at this one thing and then really crappy at everything else and be the champ, right? Now, you could be like really good at 3 things, real bad at one thing and still be the champ, but you've proven you're the best overall. It's important to me. But I don't think that's Cole's issue. And I could be wrong here, and I look very much forward to listening to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel, C-Money and D-Train this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. in case Cole decides to respond to this. And if he likes not to, that's fine. I think Cole is just mad that there aren't NASCAR races happening in the South. I honestly, because there was another spot later on in the race. Now, it was kind of dumb. No, not that kind of dumb. It was very dumb. There were some, what do we call it? Activists There were activists who protested at the race. They climbed inside of the track and then stayed in there for 40 minutes, which part of me was like, run the race anyway. Let them protest. Just run the race anyway. Let them dodge the cars with their fun little signs. Except for, and this was pretty spectacular, they did it while the race was on rain delay. So, like, you didn't do anything, right? But then Cole tweeted out a video of that, and he said, bet they don't have this problem at North Wilkesboro or Darlington, but hey, let's keep going to big cities. And that's the moment I'm like, oh, Cole doesn't dislike the road course. He just dislikes that they're doing it in not small southern racetracks, which I get. That's the roots of NASCAR.
See, I don't think that's what it is. I think NASCAR fans don't like that kind of thing.
What kind of thing? One protest that has happened
No,
when
no,
they've been
I'm
in
not
Vegas and Phoenix.
I'm not talking about the protest. I'm talking about the road race thing.
Oh.
Yeah. The protest thing is going to keep happening, and if they walked on the track, that would, I mean, they're not very smart anyway, but that would not be good. It's like,
it's a real dumb
we
decision.
see all the videos where they try to block traffic.
Yeah, it doesn't go
and
well.
There's always some guy who's like, nope, and
Yep.
just goes right through the middle of it.
Yep. And while I will tell you that as a soft-hearted liberal, like, there are spots where I'm like, I agree with your message, not your actions.
Except
All
there's a quite a bit of the time where you have no idea what they're actually
Correct.
doing.
Correct.
So, I
The
mean,
dudes running out during the golf match the other day, I'm like, y'all are jackasses, dude. Like, even Chuck Barkley knows that you guys,
You're just a loser or a jackass. You can be A or B.
like, yeah, that was it. Don't get me wrong. Get the message. Kind of agree with the message. Not the right way to get people to be on board with you. Am I right, dudes?
I'm guessing.
Bad look.
I'm guessing they can't really do that in a true NASCAR crowd because things
They
would
get their asses beat.
Yeah, things would get ugly.
Yeah, they get their asses beat. But
Who's going to beat you up at a golfing event?
oh, you'd be
I
shocked.
mean,
You'd be shocked. Golf's morphing in. It's morphing. I'm watching it slowly morph back into a younger sport again. There's a little underground movement going on, and I have to thank the influencers for that. But this NASCAR thing, like, I want to start with the street race concept because I do know a lot of people are against the street race. You shouldn't be against the street race. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Why? NASCAR. Where Lonzo knows this. Let's do a little pop quiz here. Lonzo, where does NASCAR draw its roots back to?
shine.
Shiners. Moonshiners. After shoot up them cars, run that shine away from Johnny Law. You understand?
Daggum revenuers.
Got to get them up out of Hazard County again.
I don't know what that last thing was. That was interesting.
The point here, ultimately, would be if you're running from the 5-0, if you're running from the smoke, if you're running from the fudge, if you're running from Johnny Law and you got a trunk full of shine, do you just drive in a circle a bunch? No. You get on the streets and you drive until the fuzz can't keep up with your hot rod no more. Like, if we're tracking the origin of NASCAR back to run and shine, they ran shine on the streets or through the woods, but whatever, you get it, right? Like, I think there is room for street racing. I am not sitting here asking that every race be a street race. In fact, if you follow the show for any length of time, you know it's the exact opposite. I am asking NASCAR to be even more varied in the racetracks. Give me a few more street. Like, we have 4 super speed races, 2 at Daytona, 2 at Talladega. Give me 2 more. Make them 6.
Here's what it is. Cole is well known to being a big fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. Seen them all many times. And so he when he sees a street race, he wants to see a real street race.
That's why he drives
not that stuff.
Mazda Miata that he souped up. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Pretty dope. Lime green, neon pink underneath it and the lights. Pretty sweet. No, I
The
honestly,
sound system is booming though.
I think that there are, and I could be wrong. And I invite him to respond to it, whether it's on Wire to Wire or on Twitter, whatever. I'm curious. Does he have an issue with the racetrack, or does he have an issue with the fact that NASCAR is in a northern city that's not a big NASCAR city? Because I'll tell you, from what I understand, the crowd was real good. And remember, the point of this stuff is to spread the good word of NASCAR. That's the point. It is to spread the good word of NASCAR. It is to get people excited about a sport that doesn't really have a gigantic fan base outside of the footprint that it grew up in, the southeastern region of the United States. I want more fans. I want more people invested. I want more people watching, because more watching equals better ratings equals more money. More money means more accessibility. It means more inclusion in the sport. It means a better sport.
I'd be more interested if it was Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. Tell you
what, if it's Paul Walker, we need to figure out what's going on.
I know he did.
He buried it.
But still,
he's been dead for a very minute.
He manages to appear in just about every movie, though. So, because
are they still CGing? I haven't seen the last 3.
They at least mentioned.
Have they had another one since he died? Yeah. I know they had the one where him and Dom did he got off the exit on the interstate scene.
I think they've had 3 or 4.
Has he been in all of them?
If he isn't in it, they mention him.
Mentioning I get.
Yeah.
But CGI
because
him feels a little weird.
His wife is still in it. So, and yet,
who's his wife?
He's married to Dom's sister in the series.
Really? No.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean his character?
Not as.
Yeah. You meant Paul Walker.
No. We're talking about Brian.
But you meant she was like, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you keep computer graphing my dead husband into my movies, please?"
No, that would be weird. But
I agree. That's why it jumped out at me there. All right. So anyway, I read that thought from Cole, and
you haven't seen the ones with John Cena in it?
No, I've not.
No, it's pretty good.
I haven't. I honestly haven't even seen the one
with Momoa in it, which was the last one. I haven't seen that. Yeah,
didn't see that. I don't think I'm trying to think of what the last Fast and the Furious I saw was. I'll have to go back. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I think I bailed out around. I don't even know. So
when they tan Cena just a little bit to make him Dom's brother.
Stop it.
He's his brother. He's his half brother.
Yeah, but they
if I recall, he's a little bit more tan to what he normally is. Yes.
I think I checked out at Fast 5. And it wasn't really a checkout so much. It's just I just never came back to it.
Dude, that was 5 or 6 movies ago.
Yeah, I know. It's been a minute. Listen. Here's my thing. I think it is more about, and I get it, the feeling, if you are a NASCAR fan, that's the South's sport, right? Everybody above the Mason-Dixon in the North, you get hockey, and we get NASCAR, right? That's your thing. We got our thing. Y'all skate on ice. We drive cars fast in circles. That's our thing. And I feel like there are a lot of people, and I'm using Cole as a representation of them, but I feel that there's a lot of people who really feel like the southeastern region, by seeing these races go to Chicago and Vegas and California and Los and wherever else, Phoenix, I feel like they feel like, oh, we're losing ownership of our sport. And the reality is, as we're going to talk about with basketball coming up here in a minute, there really isn't a sport that's our sport anymore.
All right, quick question.
By us, I mean the South or America.
Quick question. So you are constantly trying to bring fans into what some consider fringe sports. If you were bringing someone to NASCAR for the first time, you taking them to a road race, or you taking them to what they normally do?
First race, I'd take them to a super speedway.
There you
Talladega or Daytona.
But that's
the thing. To me,
because they'll be hooked if they go to that, but if they go to a street race, they're not going to be.
I don't disagree. But if that's the way we're judging it, then there's a lot of sports that are about to change. We shouldn't play baseball games. We should have home run derbies, because that's also more exciting. We shouldn't have basketball games. We should have dunk contests, because that's more exciting.
No, the dunk contest hasn't been good in years.
It has.
No.
It has. It's just there's this other mentality of, if it ain't the superstars, it can't be good. Yeah, it can. It's been entertaining. Couldn't for $1 million tell you the name of the guy who won it this year, but I can tell you what he did to win it. It was good. So there is a mix between being as entertaining as possible and also doing what's right for the sport. And for me, stuff like what happened in Chicago is great to get new eyeballs. There was an F1 race yesterday, British Grand Prix. A lot of people paying attention who were in the mood for racing, for street racing, for going through a city. And NASCAR said, we got you. Why don't you check us out next?
Thought we were talking about America,
We are.
not Brit.
We are. It was the British Grand Prix, but it's
Right.
an international race.
Yeah, I know.
Which America's
Some-
involved.
Some Britain
International
guy,
means all
some Britain guy actually won.
the nations.
I don't know what that was.
Lewis Hamilton, by the way.
Oh.
Stud.
Okay, I thought those motions were something to do with like you're pretending like you're walking for the flag ceremony.
Hey, speaking of going fast, here's 60 seconds that are going to fly by as Lonzo. I think we're good.
What are you gonna
You want me to do it?
No, dude, I got it.
Okay.
What
Sports
do you mean?
Flash.
Do I want
Sports
you to
Flash.
do it, man? Go away.
Okay.
The Atlanta Braves took 3 of 3 games
Just like I knew
against
they
the
would.
NL leading Philadelphia Phillies over the weekend. The final matchup featured a gem from, he wrote that, Ronaldo Lopez, who threw 6 innings, allowing only 2 hits and no earned runs as the Braves shut out Philly 6-0. Dylan Lee, Pierce Johnson, and Aaron Bummer combined for the final 3 innings of scoreless pitching. The MLB All-Star teams have been announced. No Atlanta players are in the starting lineup, though. Pitchers Ronaldo Lopez and Chris Sale are both eligible to start on the hill. Marcell Ozuna was elected as the reserve designated hitter as well. The Phillies had the most All-Star selections with 7, while the Dodgers had 6. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun, and it's all Wire to Wire. Take that, Rob Brown.
Atlanta is more super speedway-ish, but it's not a full super speedway. I do agree they need to start it in the afternoon for the exact same reason. I'm going to talk about all those things, but I appreciate that context. You are absolutely correct. Atlanta upgraded to a super speedway-ish track, which I haven't gone to yet. I actually would like to go. When is the next race in Atlanta? I actually need to go over for one.
Greenville County Animal Care is the only shelter in Greenville County that accepts animals regardless of their condition, behavior, or circumstances. Help us help them so we can continue giving our community's homeless animals the quality care they need. GreenvillePets.org.
Lost power for 8 hours Friday night.
Whoa.
Man, it sucked. It was hot.
Wolf.
Went out like at 6:10 p.m. Didn't come back till 2 o'clock. No, it actually came on at 1:50. I know because the TV came on. Suddenly bright in the room. Like, oh.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's also what a lot of us lack in our basement or garage. By switching to a Navien tankless water heater, not only will you have all the hot water you need whenever you need it, but you'll gain storage area as well. Maybe a place to display your space collectibles. Highly logical. Learn about Navien's series of high-efficiency tankless
So you're done, right?
and how they don't just save space.
Yeah. Do you need another one?
No, because I'm going to print it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's. Or I'll wait, print it before. For the break, because Tara will still.
Atlanta, September 8th. Well, that's the first playoff round, too.
QC in the first break.
I go to that. Can't go to Darlington because it's the day before the lady's birthday. Shout out to Frank, who said there are 6 super speedway races. Atlanta is now a super speedway like Daytona and Talladega. Kinda. It's like a hybrid. It's not quite full super speedway, but it's definitely not another mile and a half. Atlanta was. I've been to a race in Atlanta, the old Atlanta, not the new Atlanta. New Atlanta race this year, September 8th. I may find my way over there for that. But old Atlanta was the most boring race I've been to. I've been to Talladega. I've been to Charlotte. I've been to Daytona. I've not been to the new Atlanta track. And I can tell you the old Atlanta track, I'm glad they upgraded it because the old Atlanta track was honestly the most boring race I've ever been to. It was like restarts and starts were good. And then outside of that, it was a car every 2 seconds. Zoom, yong, yong. And that was it. No passing, no real racing, right? It basically was the cars were separated by their tech and setup. And then once they got so split up, the draft wasn't in play anymore. Everybody was just running the same race. It was wildly boring. But I like the versatility on the circuit. I think it's good. He also said Chicago was a good race. They need to start it earlier as both years have been impacted by dark. Yeah, it rained yesterday. But also, if they start that race at 1:30 instead of late in the afternoon, it always seems to rain before dark. Move it up. Let's finish this thing. So, good comment from Frank. Appreciate that. You can join our live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on YouTube, or The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. All of those available for your viewing pleasure. It is 7:02 in the morning, ladies and gentlemen, which means you are less than an hour away from work. And if you're like me, you're going at your clock going, oh my God, I thought it was 6:02. Where'd that hour go? Because that's a thing that happened to me today. Ugh, don't like that. But you got 57 minutes and 4 seconds till you got to clock in at work. And you'll be talking about sports because that's what you do. You love sports. That's why you listen to The Rob Brown Show every single weekday morning from 6 to 10 a.m. So if you're going to talk about sports, you need to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "What kind of place is this?" Bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get your day at the office going. Let's jump right in with item number 1. After dropping 2 out of 3 at the house against the San Francisco Giants, the Atlanta Braves faced off with the Philadelphia Phillies this weekend for the first time since opening weekend. Their showdown with not just the leaders of the NL East, but the overall leaders of the National League started off with an 8-6 loss. It was a tough loss for Atlanta as they did fight back all the way into the 8th inning when Marcell Ozuna hit a 3-run shot that brought the Bravos within a couple, but it was one of Max Fried's less effective performances of the year. 6 innings pitched, 11 hits surrendered, 5 earned runs, and just 4 strikeouts in that one, whereas Aaron Nola allowed 5 hits across 6 innings and 3 earned runs. Atlanta fought back but couldn't get into it, and we all thought to ourselves, oh no, here we go again. But the Braves said as they would win back-to-backs against the Phillies to claim the series 2-1. It started on Saturday when Spencer Schwellenbach had himself a day. 6 innings pitched, 7 hits allowed, but just 1 earned run. Cade 6, AJ Minter, Joe Jimenez, and Raisel Iglesias would all pitch 1 inning, and none of them would allow a hit to the Philadelphia Phillies, who managed 7 on the day, all against Schwellenbach. But they also K'd 11 times. Spencer Schwellenbach picked up his 2nd win on the season, and suddenly that young man is starting to look like he knows what he's doing. And then it came down to a Sunday rubber match yesterday afternoon back in the ATL. It was Reynaldo Lopez that was on the bump for Atlanta, and he put out a gem. 6 innings pitched, allowed just 2 hits, K'd 6 across 91 pitches on the day. Dylan Lee, Pierce Johnson, Aaron Bummer would each come in. They would each go 1 inning. Lee allowed 1 hit. Bummer allowed 2 hits. None of them allowed a run, and the Braves blanked the Phillies, gave up just 5 hits on the day. The difference, the 2nd inning, when you had Adam Duvall, Matt Olson, and Eli White filling in left field, all go yard in the same inning. All of them would put together, all of them. Kalenic had 1 as well in the 2nd. White's came in the 6th inning, my bad. Eli White in the 6th inning. Kalenic, Olson, and Duvall all went yard in the 2nd. White would add his solo shot on in the 6th. There's your 6 runs for the Bravos. They knock off the Phillies 6-0 yesterday at the house and take a 2-1 series win over the Philadelphia Phillies. That does put Atlanta back at the 500 plus 10 mark. They are 49-39. They have now found themselves back to 8 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies in the NL East, as we are now just 22 days away from the MLB trade deadline, which Alex Anthopoulos, he is cooked the last few years. Shall he cook again? We will find out. Let's move on to item number 2. Speaking of Major League Baseball, let's stay right here for just a minute. The All-Star rosters have been put out. The Midsummer Classic is officially set and ready to roll. That will happen around the same time as the trade deadline. Is actually, I lied to you, July 16th is when we will get the Midsummer Classic. So just another 8 days away from getting that one underway. The American League starters will include Baltimore catcher Adley Rutschman, Toronto first baseman Vlad Guerrero Jr., Jose Altuve from Houston will play second. The third baseman, Jose Ramirez from Cleveland, Gunnar Henderson from Baltimore will be in the shortstop position. Aaron Judge, Stephen Kwan, and Juan Soto. Judge and Soto from the Yankees, Kwan from the Guardians, and Yordan Alvarez will hold down the DH spot. Judge, Kwan, and Soto across the outfield. In the National League, your starters behind the dish, William Contreras. Bryce Harper will be at first, Ketel Marte at second, Alec Boehm at third, and Trey Turner at short. 3 Phillies across the infield. Second base, the only position not represented by a Philadelphia Philly in the starters. Jurickson Profar will be in the outfield along with Fernando Tatis Jr. and Christian Yelich. Shohei Ohtani gets the DH spot. Tyler Anderson, Corbin Burns, Emmanuel Clace, Garrett Crochet, Logan Gilbert, Clay Holmes, Tanner Hawks, Seth Lugo, Mason Miller, Cole Reagans, Tarek Skubal, and Kirby Yates will be your pitchers for the American League. Over in the National League, Tyler Glasnow gets his first All-Star selection. He'll be joined by Ryan Helsley, Jeff Hoffman, Shoto Imanaga from the Cubs gets the nod. Atlanta's Reynaldo Lopez and Chris Sale will both be there. Tanner Scott, Paul Skeens in the rookie year. Paul Skeens gets the All-Star nod in the season of his call-up. That's pretty impressive. Matt Strahm, Ranger Suarez, Robert Suarez, Logan Webb, and Zach Wheeler from Philly round out your National League pitchers when it comes down to it. So pretty good spot overall. The only other Brave going to the All-Star game, Marcel Ozuna, will go as the National League Reserve designated hitter. This is interesting, and I want to talk about this a little bit later in the show. Last year, the Braves sent 7 All-Stars. Last year, the Braves were hovering around a 10-game lead in the NL East. Last year, the Braves were the team right now that looked like they were untouchable. And the Phillies were hanging around 10 games back. The Phillies had a couple of All-Stars, nothing that really blew you away. The Phillies found themselves looking up at Atlanta and going, what in the hell? How do we catch this team? The roles have reversed. Quite literally mirror image from last year. Exactly mirror image from last year. And we all know what happened in the playoffs last year. Should the Braves have some level of optimism here? Is it fair to have some level of optimism here, considering we're exactly where Philly was last year? And Philly is exactly where we were this year. I don't know. We'll talk more about that as we get a little bit closer to the trade deadline and see what moves, if any, Atlanta decides to make. Let's get to item number 3. This one is interesting because the WNBA Rookie of the Year race, I think we all kind of knew coming in that it was going to be a race likely between Angel Reese in Chicago and Caitlin Clark in Indiana. There's some other excellent rookies out there. Kia Jackson, Cameron Brink, despite the fact that she has been shut down for the season with a busted wheel. There's some very good rookies out there. But it felt like the Rookie of the Year competition in the WNBA was always going to come down to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And why wouldn't it? Their rivalry has been one of the best things going, not in women's sports, just in sports, period. It's been one of the best things going on. And now it just got elevated and escalated. Why? Because both of them this weekend did something that no one has ever done before. Angel Reese notched her 13 consecutive double-double. That is a league record. She took that record away from WNBA all-time great Candace Parker, who back in 2009-2010 racked up a dozen double-doubles in a row. Angel Reese has now knocked down 13 double-doubles. And it looked like perhaps maybe that might have gotten Angel Reese a front row ticket to the WNBA Rookie of the Year competition. But as Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friend, because in the same weekend that Angel Reese recorded double-double 13, Caitlin Clark etched her name in the WNBA history books, becoming the first rookie in league history to record a triple-double. The Indiana Fever knocked off the New York Liberty on Saturday, 83-78. Caitlin Clark in that contest chipped in 19 points, 13 assists, and a dozen boards for the first triple-double in the history of the Indiana Fever and the first triple-double ever recorded by a WNBA rookie. I'm going to tell you straight up, if you're not enjoying the rivalry between these two players, I don't know really what to say to you, because it's phenomenal. Is it an NBA traditional feel? No, not really. Not really. It doesn't feel like the traditional NBA rivalries we've talked about, right? LeBron and Kobe, Joel Embiid and his knees, the basic rivalries of the league. What it kind of feels like is that, you know what it feels like to me? It feels like an old school NBA rivalry, right? Back when basketball wasn't a finesse-based game. And this is not me being an old hat and complaining, because I love NBA basketball today. But what it feels like is an old, like, Detroit-Chicago rivalry. an old Detroit, LA, an old LA Boston rivalry. It feels like two players that just want to beat the hell out of each other. And when they're not on the same court as each other, the best way for them to do it is to just try to outplay each other, to just stack up records, to just make history. And what they are driving at is excellence at this point. Caitlin Clark just did something amazing, and she did it the day that Angel Reese did something incredible. And so you had about an hour span where it's like, oh, Angel Reese is definitely going to win Rookie of the Year. Angel Reese is definitely getting this award. And then Caitlin Clark said, hold my beer, and turned around and got her own triple-double and said, not so fast, my friend. I love it. I love it. It is made Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky games. To me, it's made a must-watch at this point because it feels like they are both trying to outdo each other and the game benefits. That's what I wanted out of these two from the beginning. Go be great, but keep this rivalry hot, because if you keep this rivalry hot, people are going to tune in to see who outplays who. And it's been phenomenal. All right, there's your water cooler cheat sheet. Top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office this AM. And before we go to break, I have to ask, the hell were you looking at, dude?
Sign guy was out there.
Ah,
yeah,
you were locked in,
yeah,
bro.
It's amazing how, I mean, I caught it right at the beginning, watched them do the entire sign, and then I was always curious how hard it was for them to get down off the pole.
And the answer
is? Took them a little bit, but and at one point they were carrying something, so they're one hand in it going down to get to their ladder. And it just, I mean, you know, I was listening. I hit all my cues.
Oh, I didn't think you checked out, but I'm just saying you were locked in like a lonely guy at a bar at 1:30 in the morning.
I still don't understand how they get all the air out. I mean, I'm watching them do it.
It's a giant credit card.
I must have missed that part. I must have looked away during that part. There are some things in life that I find very fascinating, and that sign was one of those things.
I'm totally good with it.
I was to say, normally if you weren't doing the segment, if it was during a break, we'd have been watching. Yes.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm fascinated by how the world works as well. I just looked over and Zoe was locked in like a sniper for just a second. It was impressive.
No, not a sniper, because that would, yeah. But if I were a sniper, that was, yeah, I guess.
If there's two things in the world Lonzo hates, they're hypotheticals and metaphors.
Well, if the sniper takes the guy out, then suddenly I'm a suspect because of what you just said.
I got nothing. Let's run to a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. So, our buddy Shane Barrett from the stream just tweeted, quote, "I was explosively pooped on this morning by our newborn. How's your Monday going?" Better than that.
Been there, dude. Been there.
And people ask, why don't you want kids, Rob? There would be a revenge vomit on my child. That's why.
Dude.
Take that, kid.
Stop it.
Take that. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Then you turned the wrong mic off. Luckily, I was paying attention.
Oh, I did. You're right.
It's okay. I got it.
I'm sure.
No. QC. Don't go anywhere.
All right, guys, quick live, and then we're back. Stay right there. All right, we're back, dudes and dudettes. Thanks for hanging in there. I do hope your day gets better, Shano.
To hear who's next, follow and listen to the Red Blue Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com.
Play social games online for free. Head to Chumba.
Chumba.
And experience the thrill of the Chumba life.
Can't wait to hear what's next on Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel.
Tell me what's coming up. Well,
New Life, next break.
New Life, next break.
Cole and I will face off in a WNBA mascot challenge. Who knows more of them? And what do we need to see in the month of July from the Carolina Panthers to give us a little bit of hope and optimism about the 2024 season?
In July.
Really bring it on Wire to Wire.
Turn it on and leave it on.
Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
Talk to Robin Lund.
Well, we're halfway through July and football starts next month. So, I mean, you know.
That's why I said in July. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and the great one, Lonzo, with you here on an Upstate Monday morning. Do have a little bit of news. Came out yesterday. South Carolina has lost the commitment of 2024 four-star cornerback Shamari Earls out of Chester, Virginia. Decommitted from the Gamecocks yesterday. He did commit to the Gamecocks back during their spring game in April. He had offers from some powerhouse programs, Alabama, Tennessee amongst them. But the standout cornerback and decorated track and field athlete has decided to pull his commitment. A two-way player for Thomas Dale High School. They finished 11-1, reached the regional finals of the Virginia High School League Class 6 playoffs. He recorded 25 tackles, 4 pass breakups, 3 picks on defense, 29 catches for 715 yards and 8 touchdowns on offense as a sophomore in 2022. 32 tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions, along with 10 snags for 204 and a pair of tutties in that one. Described as an imposing perimeter corner with an ideal blend of size and speed. He has made impacts on all 3 phases of the game and has experience in various coverages. Low tackling style, very effective, but will add value as he learns to shed blocks down the line. Seen as a multi-year starter at the Power 4 level of college ball with some NFL potential. Ultimately, the decommitment, one of the biggest of the 2024 class for the Gamecocks so far, but they remain hopeful for their DB class. There are some other names that are in play right now. Lagonza Hayward, Kendall Daniels Jr., and Jadon Blair are still in the mix. They do have commitments from 3-star players, DeMarcus Leach and Christopher Hatfield, but this is, I am being told, a big loss for the Gamecock recruiting class. We'll keep an eye on this. I have not seen why it is that he decommitted yet. I have not seen any sort of tweet or Instagram post or anything. I'm not saying it's out there. It just hasn't come across my desk yet. And I'm not going out of my way because I don't get super worked up about the decisions of a 16-year-old boy in high school, right? It's not my bag. I know this is blasphemy in the South. I'm supposed to be recruiting all the time, but it's just not me. It's just not me.
Why is it just in the South?
I mean, it's not, but it is.
Okay.
It's not, but it is.
So you're picking that thing up, that regionalism thing that really bothers me. I don't.
Of course it does, because you're not from here. You don't understand.
I've lived here longer than I lived there, so but it still bothers me.
I mean,
America, man, it's all one place. Okay.
It's really not, though.
It is.
No, it's really not.
It is.
It's okay to accept that there are different communities that like different things for different reasons. It is the acceptance of other people liking different things for different reasons.
So you're
That is
saying that
American.
the melting pot does not exist
No,
anymore.
quite the opposite. What I'm saying is what is American is not that we are all the same, doing the same things, living our lives the same way. What is American is accepting.
No one ever said that. No, regionalism leads to people going, okay, I'm different than you. I'm better than you.
No,
this
that's
sort of thing.
intolerance. That's different.
Well,
That's
that's
different.
exactly where that
You
leads.
and I both recognize that we live our lives entirely different ways, and things I do, you have no interest in, and things you do, I have no interest in. And I've never once said, "Oh, I'm better than you." It's just that we are different.
You're interested in everything I do, and it's because I have an amazing life, and
I don't disagree that you do, but no.
Yeah, you do. I'm boring. We both know I'm boring. But you're heading towards my lifestyle right now. So
The point here is that I think, again, I don't know. I have only ever lived in the Southeast.
I will
I've
tell
never
you,
been anywhere else.
being from the North, I never thought I'm from the North, and I never heard anyone say, "Yeah, but we're from the North," except for I think Michigan or somebody. Anyway, so for the most part, no one says that in the North.
No. You're doing that thing again where you don't, and therefore no one does. That's not correct. I say all the time when people say, "Where are you from?" I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Excuse me, I'm representing the North now. You can't do that.
Okay, then say
Hello?
no one from the North says that.
I did say that.
But I think you
No,
said no
I-
one says.
I was talking about
Gotcha. Okay.
no one in the
Then
North
allow me-
says that.
Allow me to say, as somebody who has never lived anywhere outside of the southeastern United States, but
And those regionalism people who talk about the true South believe you're not from the South. So
that is absolutely and
oh,
entirely
for sure,
untrue.
because you're from Florida, and that doesn't count according to them.
No, it doesn't. So, as somebody who
That's
has
what I said.
never lived outside of the southeastern United States, however, has worked for places that are outside of the southeastern United States, has repeatedly traveled to places for work outside of the southeastern United States, I absolutely believe that the obsession with recruiting, with the exception of being in Columbus or in Ann Arbor or in like Happy Valley.
Okay, so I'm an exception because I lived in the place where one of the biggest teams.
Yes, you are the
is-
exception.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
You are usually
all
the
right.
exception.
Well, that's true.
I know.
That's for sure.
I know.
I walk in a room and people like, man.
As somebody who has covered college sports and still is asked to cover college sports for outlets outside, I can tell you that the
So you're saying they come to you for the Southern
yes,
perspective.
yes.
But how
When-
can you do that when you're from Florida?
When BetQL says we need an SEC guy, they come get Rob Brown. That's just how it goes.
So you're an SEC guy now.
I am a whatever you need me to get on the mic and be guy.
So you could be a Big Ten guy.
Absolutely, I
Okay,
could.
all right. So you're
Absolutely, I could.
you're a chameleon. You're versatile.
Yes, utilitarian. When I talk,
So that's not totalitarian.
It's very different.
You're gonna miss me Thursday.
when I talk college ball, the obsession with Cruton is much more widespread across the South. And when I say the South, I'm including Texas in this. I include Arkansas. I include Missouri. I include Tennessee. I basically include, honestly, South Carolina. I don't really include North Carolina. It's just in my anecdotal experience.
Is it because it says North in the name?
No, it's just I think their priority lies elsewhere. I think the obsession with basketball recruiting is that way in North Carolina. But I think from North Carolina north and then from effectively Texas, Arkansas west, you get heavy recruiting interests like on the campi of the different schools. But I think that the Cruton, let me put it this way, Cruton being a sports talk radio subject outside of like National Signing Day and early signing day, it being a major sports radio conversation is primarily a Southeastern thing. And again, I listen to sports talk stations from around the country for fun because I'm a dork. But you get a lot of talk about recruiting around here, which is why I got sent this a minute ago from somebody going, Rob, what's the impact here? The impact is you just lost the 4-star recruit from your 2024 class, which right now is comprised of 2- and 3-star guys with a couple of open battles for a few more 3-star guys, and I think either 1 or 2 more 4-star guys, but you're up against the Alabamas and the Tennessees. This was a major Cruton victory for the Gamecocks, and now it's gone. So to say it doesn't matter, it has no impact, absolutely untrue. But I'm also going to say I've seen a couple of high school caliber highlights from the kid, and it doesn't tell me what his immediate impact on the game was going to be. We'll talk more about it, or we won't. I don't know. We'll see. Because we're in the Southeast, where people care about recruiting, unlike in Ohio, where they don't. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. Awesome. You guys are doing great.
Okay.
From the Ingles Market Studio, the Infinity Sports Network. No need to check the clock. It's Rob
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. Be a part of the radio program at 844-326-3663. That is the number to get on the Renewal by Andersen of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. If you'd like to get at us in that direction, you are welcome to do so. You can text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the radio program. You can also shoot us a tweet at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word, or you can tweet everybody up in here at The Fan Upstate if you want to come at us in that direction. CBS Sports has ranked the best home field advantages in the Southeastern Conference. Best home field advantages in the SEC. Lonzo, who's number one? Stab in the dark.
Alabama.
Very close. Number two, LSU. They have at number one, 11-0 in night games under Brian Kelly. Its only home loss in the Kelly area came in at 11 a.m. local time against Tennessee. Alabama checked in number two. They had a 21-game home winning streak before a loss to Texas at Bryant-Denny last year. They have Florida at number three. Florida's dropped 2 home games in each of the past 2 seasons while searching for their footing under Billy Napier. But the Swamp, still known as a very difficult place to play. They have Neyland Stadium ranked number 4, ranked 7th amongst the SEC venues in EA Sports list of toughest places to play. But Baker Mayfield once called Neyland Stadium, quote, a different type of loud, end quote, after an Aggie game down there. They have Auburn ranked number 5. And here's where the rankings fall apart for me. Auburn is 12-10 at Jordan-Hare Stadium over the past 3 seasons. They have close losses inside of that 10 to a top 15 Georgia, a top 15 Alabama, a top 15 Ole Miss last season. They rank it this high because of the prayer at Jordan-Hare and because of the kick 6, the 2 miracle plays that knocked off Georgia and Alabama in consecutive games in 2013, which, by the way, the fact that it has been 11 years since the kick 6 just made my knees start hurting again. It's unreal. They have Georgia at number 6. Georgia is 41-1 at home over the last 7. They own the nation's longest home winning streak at 32 games. And they have South Carolina checked in at number 7. Here's what CBS Sports writes up about the Gamecocks and about Willie B. Quote, South Carolina Stadium packs a punch, especially for a program not regarded as a historic power. Williams-Brice Stadium shakes when Sandstorm comes on, and the Gamecocks have notched some big home wins under Shane Beamer. Beating Florida and Auburn was crucial to getting the Gamecocks bowl eligible in 2021, and an upset of number 5 Tennessee altered the playoff picture in 2022, end quote. Here's where I have been. I have been to LSU. I have been to Alabama. I have been to Florida. I have not been to Tennessee for a game, but I have seen Neyland. I have been to Auburn. I have been to Georgia. I have been to South Carolina. I have not been to A&M, who they have ranked 8th, because I don't willingly hang out with people who are in a cult. I have not been to number 9 Oklahoma, 10 Texas. I have been to number 11 Mississippi State. I have not been to number 12 Arkansas. I have been to the Grove, number 13 Ole Miss. I have not been to Mizzou, Kentucky, or Vandy, 14, 15, 16 in the SEC. So of the top 7, in my experience, LSU is absolutely number 1. That's not a debate to me. They are absolutely number 1. Where it gets interesting is the last time that I went to Florida, Urban Meyer was still at the helm. And I can tell you that when Florida is in contention, the Swamp is horrifying. When Florida's in contention, the Swamp is terrifying. It's a bad place to be as an away guy. Quick story time. I went to an LSU Florida game, and I'm trying to remember the year that it was. LSU won that game. Was it 20? No, it was not. Yeah, it was. It was 2006, 2005, maybe earlier than that. Somewhere in the early 2000s. Anyway, I went to that game. And I've told you guys in the past that my family is from Louisiana. They're an LSU family. So I was an LSU fan growing up. And my parents took me to an LSU Florida game, which I went to in purple. I went in purple and gold because even as a kid, stir the pot a little bit. It's kind of fun. So I went in purple and gold, and LSU ended up winning on like a last-second play, last-minute play, whatever. And as I was leaving the Swamp with my little brother, who was a Florida fan because my mother dropped him on his head as a child, and with my parents, who were just there. They were just bringing their boys to a ball game. As I was leaving and we were walking out of the ramp, we were sitting up in the top. As I was leaving, I got kicked in the back of the knee, like kicked. Not like, that thing you do to your friends where you kind of like put your foot in the back of their knee and then push on it so they fall down and then you laugh at them. No. Kicked in the back of the knee. And I turned around. The old man turned around. None of the Florida fans there would admit who did it. So we just kind of kept walking. And then it happened a second time. I was, like I said, I was probably 16, 15. So it would have been late. Maybe it was late 90s. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Florida was at a peak. LSU was okay at the time. Happened again, and a cop saw it. Gainesville PD. Gainesville PD saw it. Whoever did it kind of faded back into the crowd, Assassin's Creed style. And the cop came over, and he grabbed me, my little brother, my mom, and my dad, and he's like, y'all come with me. I'm going to get you out of here safe. And he walked us over to an elevator. He brought us down the elevator, and he brought us out like a back exit to the stadium. And I'm like, what? Like, why is this? Why? And he goes, oh, son, that wasn't going to stop happening until you get to your car. I was like, y'all aren't going to do nothing about it. And he goes, hey, it wouldn't matter. He goes, there's really nothing we can do. There's so many people that act like that. We can't do anything. So I haven't been back to the Swamp since then. Point here is the Florida fans are extra. They're extra. They're a lot. All right. And it doesn't stop. So I got no problem with Florida being, I would put Florida number 2. I would put Alabama number 3. Not a problem. But I will also say that that's in large part because of Alabama being a dynasty. Alabama pre the dynasty days would have been closer down to 8 or 9 on this list. Once Nick Saban turned them into a dynasty, it became a different game. Bryant-Denny Stadium became a monster of a stadium. I went there Saban's 3rd or 4th year for a game against Mississippi State. One as a neutral fan. I had a buddy. It was his bachelor party. I graduated high school. The daughter of my high school head football coach was a sports information director at Alabama at this point. And so I called her. I'm like, yo, I need a ticket. Can you hook me up? She goes, I'll do you one better. And she got me and my boys out onto the field for that game. We were standing on the sideline for that game. And I will tell you that standing on the field of Bryant-Denny when the Crimson Tide rolls in, it's one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. I'm fine with Alabama. I would put them at 3. Tennessee, I have not been to yet. I accept that they're probably up there somewhere in the neighborhood of Alabama. But just having your band play Rocky Top a bunch, to me, doesn't auto-qualify you in this discussion. So I don't know yet. I can't say for sure. What I will say is South Carolina deserves to be like next up on that list. I have been to Willie B 3 times since I moved here. Once for a Clemson game, once for a Florida game, and once for I don't remember, it was one of the FCS games. Upstate, I don't remember. But 3 times. And I can say, and I think this is something to lean on and be proud of. In fact, if anything, this probably should become, if it's not already, this probably should be the identity of South Carolina. All 3 games I went to, it felt like it was a night SEC versus the number 1 team in the country contest. All 3 games, the stadium was packed. All 3 games, the stadium was loud. All 3 games, the stadium was swaying. Now, I've been to an FCS game in Alabama as well as Mississippi State, and what I can tell you is that while they are still up, they are still loud, it does not have the same energy as an SEC night contest. To me, Willie B is I would say top 5 team, maybe top 4 in terms of stadium environment and atmosphere on game day in the conference. To the point that I would make this my football identity if I was you, right? Like Mark Ryan used to say this all the time, and I thought it was very fair. I didn't always like what he labeled as identities, but he always said, and I agree with him, a college football team needs an identity. You need, when somebody says the name of your school, you need a thing that other people think of, right? When I say Texas A&M, you see weird dudes in World War II cosplay on the field going, oh, we're a cult. You see that in your head, right? When you hear Tennessee, you hear you see the orange and white checkerboards. When you hear Georgia, you hear sick 'em dogs. You feel that identity. If I say South Carolina, outside of Columbia and the upstate, if I go back down to the Florida Panhandle next weekend, and I ask people, what do they think when they think of South Carolina? What are they going to say? Dawn Staley. And that's great. It's great. It's great. You should 1,000% be pimping the hell up out of the women's basketball team. Women's basketball, yeah, that's a bad way to phrase that. You should be 1,000% promoting the hell out of the women's basketball team. I apologize. That was poor wording, and I feel like a jerk. That's my bad. You should be promoting the hell out of the legacy of Dawn Staley and out of the legacy of the women's basketball program, because you have the best in the country, and it should be celebrated as such. It just should, right? But how do you get the football team into that discussion? And I really do think it needs to be making it known that you have one of the most difficult places to play in the Southeastern Conference, maybe in the country. It needs to be a chunk of the identity. You need to find a way. And I will acknowledge, because I already know there's a couple of big smart boys rocking the phones right now, shooting the text to 71307. Start your text with fan, by the way. I know that there's a couple of big smart boys that are already out there firing off the text. Rob, it's not that difficult to play there. Football team's not that good. It absolutely does need to come back to the team needs to be good at home. It does. It needs to. It can't just be it's tough to play because it's super loud. It needs to be it's tough to play because it's super loud. And even if they're not good, the Gamecock football team is going to beat the out of you. That needs to be the identity. So I would say this year for the Gamecocks, especially knowing, as we have talked about, especially knowing that this is going to be the next 2 years, ridiculously tough 2 years. I'm talking in terms of strength of schedule. You have got one of the most difficult schedules, not in the conference, in the nation over the next 2 years running. So to me, the next step is going to be make Willie B a nightmare. Make it a nightmare. Make it where even if the team's not good, even if you finish 5-7 the next 2 years running, make it where when teams come there, they know they're in for a fist fight. Make it where when the teams come there, they know they're going to get punched in the mouth and the ribs over and over and over. Because, and I thought about this when I was reading these stadium rankings last night, my genuine, honest thought is, I don't think anybody's afraid of Willie B. And that's too bad. Because the fans put on a hell of a show every game. Every game. I've been to 3 at 3 different levels of football. Against a very good team, against an okay team, and against an FCS team. And it was the same environment all 3 games. Absolutely rocking, chock-a-block full. But you got to get it to the next level. And my emphasis to Shano would be, make sure that your team has a pride in making sure that their field is one of the ones that SEC teams least look forward to visiting. Even if they know it's a win, they know they're going to get beat up in the process. Now a guy who could beat you up and your dad, Lonzo with a sports flash.
Your dad's a punk, man. The Atlanta Braves took 2 of 3 games against the leading Philadelphia Phillies over the weekend. Your dad's not a punk. He's awesome. The final matchup featured a gem from Ronaldo Lopez, who threw 6 innings, allowing only 2 hits and no earned runs as the Braves shut out Philly 6-0. Dylan Lee, Pierce Johnson, and Aaron Bummer combined for the final 3 innings of scoreless pitching. Matt Olson, Adam Duvall, and Eli White all hit home runs in the second inning to open up a lead. Atlanta never surrendered. The Braves are 49-39 and now trail Philly by 8 in the NL East. Alex Bowman has secured his position in the NASCAR playoffs with a win in a rain-shortened street race at Chicago yesterday. It's Bowman's first win since 2020 when he won at Las Vegas and the 8th of his career. And make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel will get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news, all Wire to Wire.
No signs of workers at the I-85 Pelham Road work zone. There's a vehicle on the shoulder northbound 85 at Pelham. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Is arthritic joint pain keeping you from doing the things you love? Bone-on-bone pain in your knees, hips, back, or shoulders? Hey, it's Charlie James. There are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. QC Kinetics is helping patients like you every day. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine. I'm talking cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. They've helped so many people here and tens of thousands more around the country. If you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know steroids and surgery and pain pills are no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. This is the future of medicine. Call for a free consultation now. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Asheville. 864-448-3772.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS.
Oh.
$10,000 you may be eligible for a 99%.
We're almost close to disaster.
Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debts? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new break you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-505-1608. 800-505-1608. 800-505-1608.
Join us at Trailblazer Park in Travelers Rest on Saturday, July 20th, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the second annual LEO Santa Car Show. Preferred Home Services, Healthy Blue South Carolina, Greenville Heritage Federal Credit Union, and Upstate First Responders have partnered to collect toys for children. Enjoy live entertainment with Magic by Marty and the band Sweet Soul. Food vendors, law enforcement, and fire demonstrations, plus activities for all ages. Check out the sweetest rides while making a difference. Learn more at LEOSantaChristmas.com.
Hi, this is Diesel. And this is Cole Bryson from Wire to Wire. We'll be live this Wednesday from 3 till 7 at Ingles Markets at 429 East Main Street in Liberty. Stop by for your chance to win a $25 Ingles gift card.
She posted about us just now. Celebrities can't get enough.
You right, dog?
Bespoke skincare line. She has
What? I'm looking at the schedule.
Oh, all right.
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype. We should repost this. You need a hashtag? Indeed can help her hire great people fast. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. You can schedule
Just making sure I
virtual interviews.
scheduled somebody for something. So I thought I did, but I was, yeah.
It's Boomer Esiason here. Superchargers, headlights, and more. With over 122 million parts, eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle.
Actually, I was turning my back on you. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
I thought you just had like a random streak of pain.
Well, I've been having that all day, but no. If I turn and bend like that, it's gassy, and I want to make sure that it heads your direction.
Thanks. Yep.
Because I'm a guy who likes to share.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're welcome. New life, next break.
New life, next break. Is that Hacksaw?
No.
The hell was that?
It's the end of something. I have the power. I didn't put Thundercats on there because it wouldn't apply, but
Thundercats. There it is. Welcome back to the third hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. It is the Fan Upstate. How do you do? Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. What up, world? Great to be with you, Rob Brown, and the great one, Lonzo. Be a part of the radio broadcast, 844-326-3663. That is the number for the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. You can text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read it on the radio broadcast. You can also jump on the Twitter at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, and at The Fan Upstate. We'll get you in touch with everybody up in the building.
Would you please put that away?
Listen, this is the one thing
I'll
never drop.
I'm trying to explain to you what it looks like when you're doing what you're doing, and your arm movements is all people can see.
Setting up for a circle change.
Yeah, not that. what you were doing before and have been doing the entire first hour.
You used to have a mean circle change.
I tried to hide it, but you found it. So
it's the one skill pitch I could throw. I had a two seam. I had a four seam. I had a spin, which I threw like a curveball, but it didn't break. And that was the most dangerous pitch I had because it was a reserve pitch. I wouldn't throw it all the time because eventually they'd figure out I couldn't throw a curveball. I tried my best. I could never get a ball to break, but I could make a ball spin like a break and it would never break. But I could throw it a bunch because once they figured out, oh, he can't throw a curveball, he can't get one to break.
Did you try any substances to help you?
No, I did not. I should have learned. Nobody learned me. I tried
a little bit of sweat mixed with something on your bill.
Sweat and rosin, baby. It's just sweat and rosin. I tried. I could get it to spin like a curveball. It never broke. And once the team figured out that it was a spinner ball and not an actual breaking ball, oh, dude, they were taking me yard every time. So then that pitch came out of the arsenal, and then it was two-seamer, it was four-seamer, and I could work a circle change up in there to throw the off speed. That's all I had.
You're about to start doing it again.
That's a good one, Shane. That's a good one. It is what it is.
There
man.
you go. Stop doing that.
Come watch the stream, or maybe don't. I don't know. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on Twitch, all the different ways to get in touch with the radio program.
See, if you were doing it like Cold Cam, everyone could see what you're doing. When you're all up, when you raise the chair up 10 feet and put the camera right on your face, then they could see what you're doing as opposed to what you might be doing.
When you're that handsome, what can you do? Right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
U.S. men's national team head coach Greg Berhalter.
Wow, you said that without anger. That's what happened when you lost an hour. They erased the Greg hate from you.
For those of you that missed story time with Rob Brown, baby, this morning was very weird because I got up with my regular alarm, which I set like I always do. In fact, I don't even have to set it because the Google Pixel allows you to set an alarm and you can schedule it, right? So I have it scheduled for
all phones do that. I don't know why you went specific about it being your phone. Okay, go ahead.
The Google Pixel, the greatest phone on the planet, allows me to set and schedule an alarm. So it's set for every weekday at 3:40 a.m. And that's, it goes off. It wakes up the dog. I pet the dog for a minute before I get out of bed, whatever. Got up with the normal alarm this morning. Went through the regular everyday routine like I do. Told the Alexa in the bedroom, hey, don't play the alarm this morning because there's one on my phone. There's one on an Alexa speaker. That one wakes up the fiance. So she hits me and she, jostles me if I'm still asleep or whatever. So I get up. And then there's a third on the Alexa in the kitchen, which plays at max volume. So if I miss the first two or sleep through or turn them off and fall back asleep or whatever, when that one goes off, I have to get up, walk to the other side of the house to turn it off. And now I'm up walking around. So I got up, I turned those two off. I hopped the shower like I normally do, got out of the shower, got dressed, hung out for 3 minutes on the couch with the dog, hung out for a minute on the couch with the cat, like I do every single morning. Was getting ready, put the laptop and the tablet of truth into the backpack, grabbed a couple of drinks, couple of waters out of the fridge to bring with me. Normal routine. And as I am getting in the car and about to turn the car on, I get a text from the great one, Lonzo, that says, "You up?" I was like, yeah, it's Monday morning. I'm about to leave for work. But I don't respond. I'm like, all right, let me get the car started. Let me get out of the driveway, take the trash can down, whatever, and get on the road. And so I do all that. I get on the road. When I get to the end of the street, I've got my phone plugged into my car. Don't text and drive. All right. It's not safe. It's not smart. I get, my phone connects to my car and my car goes, "You have one new text message from Alonzo. Would you like to hear it?" "Yes, please." This morning at 6:37 a.m., Lonzo text, "You awake?" ? No, it literally just was, "You up?" So I'm like, yeah, dude. Why would I not be? I'm on my way to work, right? I'm on my way to work. And then it just like it was rattling around in my brain like a BB in a tin can. Just like, why would he have texted that? Because the initial thought I had was, he's going to be out today. He's calling in sick, right? Or he's calling in.
Yeah, because I do that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, listen, neither do I, but like once in a blue moon, like once a year. All right. I'm like, oh, he's calling in sick. Lonzo's on death's door again because that's the only way he misses work. But Lonzo's dying, and he's texting me to let me know Brandon's coming in today, or Tim, or whoever's coming in today. So then I'm like, no, he didn't follow up. This is weird. And I look at my clock in the car, and I realize it is not 4:37, and I'm on my way to work. It's 5:37, and I'm on the air in 23 minutes. Now, I only live about 12, maybe 13 minutes in the mornings, 12 or 13 minutes away from the radio station. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to be there at like 6 minutes till showtime. I got to write a sports flash. I got to get the stream room set up. I got to do all the pre-show activities. I didn't even fill in a rundown. I got all my stories, like all my hyperlinks, but I don't even have a rundown filled out. Like, what is that? I somehow, between turning off the phone alarm, telling the bedroom Alexa, no alarm is necessary, thank you, and telling the kitchen alarm, no alarm is necessary, thank you, because for some reason, I do say please and thank you to my smart speakers. I don't know why. I can't help it.
It's pretty weird. It is.
I just have polite ingrained in me.
Including the one in the office.
I do. Lonzo's heard it.
You can tell a difference between me and you because I am not polite.
Alexa, shut up.
No, that's not what you call.
Computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I changed mine to like Star Trek. Computer, play Creed. Computer, shut up.
I believe shut up is akin to cursing. So no, I say computer stop.
So somehow between waking up, getting out of bed, hanging with the dogs, taking a shower, getting dressed, turning off the other alarms, packing up my stuff, and walking to the car, I'm not kidding, an hour disappeared from my morning. And I'm genuinely certified freaked out right now by it, right? Because on one hand, there's all of the ridiculous explanations. I blacked out and don't remember it. And nobody else would have known because she ain't awake yet.
You didn't rail slide or anything
Nope.
like that. Okay.
Just a normal day. There was no point that I was like, why am I on the floor?
Your teeth seem to be intact, so
Yeah.
you didn't face plant.
I got all my chiclets still in the grill, right? Like an option is like perhaps because there's a couch in the bro cave, right? I got the gamer chair and then there's a couch for TV watching purposes. And I'm like, did I sit on the couch? Because I get dressed and the dog, when I get up, the dog goes into the bro cave and she falls asleep on the couch because that's where she knows that's where I'm going to be for the next 20, 30 minutes before I leave. So she comes and she sits on the couch and she curls up and lays back down and just hangs out while I get ready. And usually what I'll do is after I get dressed, I'll sit on the couch and I'll pet her for a minute. All right, good job, good dog. Thanks for being good. Whatever. Thanks for keeping us safe last night, you little guard dog, you.
Thank you, dog, for being pleasant this morning.
Yeah.
I am on my way to work now. Oh, look at the time.
Yeah. So I'm like, did I put my head back on the couch and pass out for an hour?
That could have happened, dude. That could very.
But that's
I mean,
the thing is,
yeah.
all right, so I am absolutely a fall asleep sitting up kind of dude, right? But I've got to be reclined to do it. And this isn't like a big, comfy reclining couch. This is like a small, this is like your college apartment kind of couch because that's what it was. And it's the only couch I could find that fit into the bro cave without eating up most of the space that I still needed for the radio setup in there. So I'm like it's possible, but not probable. I'm like, all right. Did I wake up turn off both of the alarms and then like go back to bed and I don't remember it and like no, I don't think I did that. And then there's the other explanations. Bigfoot, aliens, chupacabra, the FBI.
A monolith didn't show up in your front yard.
Nope.
Because they've been appearing all over the place.
Nope.
So, okay. All right.
No monoliths, no obelisk, no weird structures, no crazy flashing lights, none of that. But also, like, maybe I got Men in Blacked, right?
Or maybe someone has a trigger word and you were activated for an hour.
I don't know.
I don't know. What did he do for that hour?
Those are all possibilities.
Did you wake up and all the housework was done?
No.
Okay.
Again,
I'm just curious.
Here's the thing. There's no spot where it was like two disjointed memories that got stuck together, right? Like, you know how you've watched the like the YouTube videos I've made. You know how sometimes there'll be a guy talking and then he'll clip over because he had to clearly edit something out there. Like, that's happened to me in my real life where I'm like, I remember this and then I remember this and I remember being conscious for that and now I'm conscious for this, but I don't know what's in the middle. But usually that's like
sounds like every conversation I have with you.
It's not unfair. Usually that's like 6 or 7 seconds and it's because something else distracted me. Ooh, squirrel, right? Like something else distracted me. This one wasn't that. There's no like clipped together, it's a simulation video edited time of my life from this AM where I like, how did I, you've had that thing where you're like, when did I come into this room?
Yeah, I have. This also sounds like the beginning of a sci-fi show where we find out that a bunch of people call in and text in and say the same thing happened to me at exactly the same point this morning.
Right? Did it happen to you this morning?
No.
Okay.
It did not.
All right. So I don't know what happened. Like when Lonzo texted me, I was just ho-humming my way through a regular everyday morning. Just another day. It's just another day. I was just taking my time, getting dressed, getting ready, hanging out with the dog for a few minutes, grab my waters, got my computer, got my laptop, got my tablet, put my backpack together. No, then Lonzo texts. I'm like, oh, I'm on the air in 23 minutes. What am I doing here?
Well,
and I do not know where my hour went.
I could have got you here earlier, but you have a parking spot that you like to park in. There was a vehicle there, and I thought it was odd because it has a symbol for a certain school on the back of it, and it was like, that can't be. Well, maybe you had to borrow a car or something. Maybe something happened. And so when I came up, the office door wasn't open. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's just in the restroom. So then I went about setting up all my stuff, and then I walked out and realized the door was still locked. It's like, this is not good.
Yeah, I don't know. It again. There's
I apologize for thinking that you drove a Kia Soul.
Yeah, I
okay.
do. That is the worst part of this.
I know. I don't know who in the building is driving one, but
that is the worst part of this.
But Rob Brown is not going to. Not only is he not going to drive, he wouldn't fit in one. So
I genuinely don't know where that hour went. I got up at the normal time. I went through the normal routine, and I went from getting ready, getting on the way to work, being here, because again, it's Monday. I like to start my Monday off right. All right. I like to start the week off right. Monday's the one day where I genuinely strive to make sure that I am here like 20 minutes earlier than I need to be, that I got everything situated. I got my rundown good. I got all my links ready to go. I got I got Lonzo's Sports Flash written out way in time. I got all this stuff good to go. I'm ready to roll. And somehow an hour just disappeared. Did I get Men in Blacked? Or am I getting to the point where my brain just went, yeah, no, we use another hour of rest. We're just going to shut off for an hour and let him autopilot his way through this.
If you suddenly have presidential blank stares, we may have to make a change. I'm just saying.
I don't know, man. I got nothing. I don't know what happened. It went from just another Monday morning to a full-on panic attack.
When he leaves today, this is all he's going to think about. Is trying to figure out. He's going to get home and try to reenact everything he did, trying to figure out what happened to that hour.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, legit, I'm going to ask. First thing I'm doing, when we get off the air, I'm texting the fiance, like, did I get out of bed at the normal time this morning? Because she knows, like, when I get up, she looks, she wakes up, but then she goes right back to sleep. Did I get up at the normal time, or did I screw up? But I know I didn't. I went back, and I checked the default alarms, Alonzo. They're all set for 3:50, 3:45. They're all right. So I don't know what happened. Alarm.
I've been waiting all this time, and he finally did it.
Alarm.
Finally.
Alarm. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
You're like,
all right, guys, be right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. back, dudes.
That is not good.
What's that?
Take us off there for a second.
All right, guys, give me 30 seconds. right. Thanks for hanging in there, dudes and dudettes. Much appreciated.
Online casino-style games, Chumba Casino is your go-to destination for nonstop entertainment. Play for fun and play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void or prohibited by law. See terms and conditions.
Chumba.
GM tonight. 2 years ago, he pretty much individually won me my fantasy baseball league. This was 2 years ago because last year's team won a game. Not good. Yeah, because I couldn't do the draft. I had cousin Joe do the draft. He got drunk instead. It became a mess. I couldn't communicate because you and I were doing the show. It's just you and me in here. And, I told you to, like, when you're up, take it off. I'll be fine. I could do that to you. I would have helped you out because I just would have wanted a percentage of the winnings. That's all. Bet MGM tonight. Live sports betting updates as they happen. Weeknights at 7 on the Fan Upstate.
Text us at 71307. This is the Rob Brown Show with Lawrence.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. So we've been following the saga of Greg Berhalter as the U.S. men's national team coach. I wasn't going to forget. And I'm not going to forget here either.
I managed to derail in the last last segment.
It's all right.
I know
All
I
you
couldn't do
did-
it 2 in a row.
All you did was cost the people a segment of having to listen to me.
Yeah, but it's no, I didn't. You talked the entire last segment. You're going to
About
talk this
sports.
segment. Okay.
So there's a story going on right now. Obviously,
Yeah, but you're going to be talking about soccer though.
for those of you that have been following since the United States early exit from Copa America, which happened last week, the outcry about the future of this team and wanting to get away from Greg Berhalter, which of course has been nationally led by me, but also the American Outlaws fan group, Barro 76, a Hispanic men's national team fan group, et cetera, et cetera. The cries have been loud. There are petitions going around. There are social media campaigns going around. There's a lot of folks that are doing their darndest to try to get this guy removed as the manager because he's been in charge for 6 years and we have absolutely nothing to show for it at this point. And we are now 2 years away from hosting the World Cup. And if we ever host another one, and it is another 32 years before we do, Rob will be in his 70s, late 70s, before that early 70s, before that happens. Which means that I'm probably not going to be in the same mode or capability to travel the country watching U.S. soccer in the World Cup as I am for the 2026 World Cup. But as I've also said a number of times, one of the biggest problems that I have is that I'm kind of to a point now where I don't want to do that. I feel like I'd be wasting money, right? I will not waste money. I will spend frivolous money on sports if I truly feel like whatever I'm spending it on is going to give me a memory. Going to races, going to football games, these are memories. These are things I live for. I am a dude who lives for experiences. Being able to see the United States men's national team play multiple games in a World Cup at home in front of home crowds is an experience that I absolutely want. And I'm terrified that with Greg Berhalter at the helm, we're just going to stay bad. And going to see games will be a waste of said money. So, where do we stand in all that? Well, multiple sources reported over the weekend that U.S. Soccer has made the decision to make a decision about Greg Berhalter this week. Here is Herculez Gomez, former United States men's national team. He was on ESPN talking about what, if any, is to be done and where the pressure is coming from. He said, before he remembered that he had everything muted.
Listen, this is what we've seen recently. The fan base calling for Greg Berhalter, calling for action on Greg Berhalter, the fan base calling for a boycott of sponsors, the fan base angry at Matt Crocker, TJ Batson. You mentioned that they were yelling to fire Greg in Kansas City. For the longest time, there seems to be the sentiment that soccer fans in America and the United States aren't savvy enough. They'll still consume. There's a different generation coming through. A generation that some of those are dual nationals, second, third generation, who have consumed this game differently in different ways and demand, or they're a fan of the Premier League, they're a fan of Liga MX, or they're a fan of MLS, but they demand accountability. They demand action. They don't want to spend the enormous amounts it takes to follow a game today unless you're going to respect their interest. And what their interest is seeing a more competitive U.S. men's national team. It's one thing if they see that the material at hand can't compete, but if they think they can compete, and if they think that material can be better with a different coach, they want to see action. So this is the only way that they're going to see change. And something tells me change is on the horizon.
Good. But that's it. That's the discussion. It has always been, and I've had this conversation with the BetMGM Tonight host. I've had this conversation on multiple shows around the country over the past couple of weeks that I've been invited on. I've had this conversation on this show. I've had this conversation on Bet for the Cycle. I've had this conversation on You Better You Bet. I've had this conversation on every show that I have ever hosted or been a guest on. I've brought this up. Trista Crick asked me a couple weeks ago. She said, Rob, will there ever be a point where you just accept that U.S. soccer can be mediocre at its best and never better? And I said, no. No, I don't accept that. In fact, I think, frankly, it's un-American to think that, right? Deck and I had a big conversation on Bet for the Cycle this Saturday where he said, you're a bad American. And I said, why? And he said, because you spent the 4th of July watching other countries play soccer. And I said, yeah, I'd have watched my own, but we stink. I said, quite the opposite. I think the great thing about this country, I think the principle it was founded on is that everybody has a different way they like to live their life, different cultures, different tastes, different styles, and we all accept that everybody is allowed to do their own thing, and we just leave each other the hell alone when we don't like what somebody else is doing, unless they're harming someone else. That's kind of like our founding philosophy, right? Soccer is a culture that has grown in this country, and as you heard Hurt just say, it is no longer just something we do in the football offseason. We are no longer an unsophisticated soccer country. We care. And even if it's not a majority of people who care, the people who care not just care, but we care, and we're now more knowledgeable than we've ever been before. We get it. And we demand that accountability, for which U.S. soccer has provided none. So there's a second part of this. Since the elimination of the United States at Copa America, the fans have not stopped pushing. There was a report from Fox Sports yesterday that one of the reasons that U.S. soccer has been pushing the Greg Berhalter decision back, because we are at a point with the World Cup less than 2 years away, we are at a point that the longer that you wait, the more difficult winning in that tournament becomes. If you're going to make a move, it needs to be made ASAP, now, immediately. Why? It needs to be made ASAP, now, immediately, so that the next coach can begin all of the things that need to go. It needs to go into prepping friendlies. It needs to go getting ready for the Gold Cup. It needs to go into recruiting the next generation of dual nationals, kids that have citizenship in Mexico in America, Canada in America, France in America, Italy in America, to want to come play for the U.S. men's national team. The next coach needs to be able to do all those things now. Because if you recruit a guy to come play under Berhalter and he says no, and then a new coach comes in, maybe he changes his mind, maybe he doesn't. Or if you recruit a guy who wants to play for Greg because Greg makes him all these promises, but he doesn't really fit in to whatever the new coach wants to do, he's going to leave. He's going to switch back, right? There's a lot of things that a new coach has to be able to do and has to be able to start doing immediately. So why are they waiting? Well, the report from Fox Sports is that they are waiting, hopefully, in their minds, hopefully, so that American sports fans, American soccer fans will back off. They want them to stop calling for the boycotts of sponsors, right? Because that hits them the hardest. If U.S. soccer is being sponsored by Michelob Ultra And U.S. soccer fans convince U.S. soccer fans to stop buying Michelob Ultra. And Michelob Ultra goes, okay, this sponsorship is no longer beneficial for us, so we're going to go ahead and pull it. Now U.S. soccer is losing money. And that is, at the end of the day, that has been the narrative about this team, about this federation. They only care about the dollar bills, y'all. They only care about the money. And so the only way to stop it isn't just by not buying tickets, not buying jerseys, not buying hats, not buying T-shirts, not just by not watching. It's by making it to where the sponsors stop giving them money as well. This is why I've said in the past, you don't have as much power as you think that you do when it comes to influencing sports, but you also don't have no power. You have enough to at least start the ball rolling. So if you are a U.S. soccer fan, if you are a U.S. men's national team fan, if you are excited about hosting and hopefully being competitive, not winning, but being competitive in the World Cup, don't shut up. That's what they want you to do. They are putting this off so that you shut up and go away and they can just let Greg roll on. Don't shut up. I'm not going to. Sorry, Lonzo. It's not going away until the change gets made or until I go, oh, Greg's the coach, then I'm done supporting U.S. soccer until he's not.
And then the next guy comes in and leads them to the same mediocre.
Then we'll yell about that guy. But what I do know is this guy can't do it. So give me at least the experiment of seeing someone else. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show, John Blau of the Post and Courier joins us next on the Fan Upstate.
You don't care about the medium as long as it's not this guy getting us there.
I don't care who the coach is, provided the coach is successful.
Yeah, but okay. Okay.
All right, guys, we're going to step away for just a minute while we get John Blau lined up. Y'all stay right there, please, and thank you. The Rob Brown Show continues on a Monday morning. Robin Lonzo here on the Fan Upstate. Great to have you. And great to have, as we do every Monday morning at this time. Joining us on the phone now, he is a Clemson reporter for the Post and Courier. We chat some Clemson athletics with John Blau on the show. John, what's up, big dog? How we doing?
I'm good. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing very well, man. Are you? Have you made it through your adventures into the world of litigation lately?
I've taken a little bit of a break. I'm actually back in New Jersey visiting family. I will return on July 12th for the hearing between Clemson and the ACC in Pickens County. So, I've gotten out of that jungle for a little bit, and I'll be back in it in a few days.
Very nice. Very nice. Talk to me a little bit about what you've seen and experienced. I know you were up in North Carolina not too long ago, kind of covering the angle of what's happening up there right now. What was going on at the particular hearing that you were at, and kind of where does that leave the rest of this entire debacle between Clemson and the ACC?
Yeah, so Clemson was trying to dismiss the case up in North Carolina when we were last there on July 2nd, so last week, last Tuesday. And basically, if you're reading the tea leaves in terms of what the judge was saying and how they were responding to some of Clemson's questions, it doesn't seem like that case is going away. The judge and the same exact judge actually kind of, Florida State tried to say they'd have sovereign immunity. He said, no, you don't. In that case, continue in North Carolina. So, I think that you're going to have two cases for both Florida State and Clemson. So that's 4 cases in 3 different states. Obviously, the ACC is going to try to get the case dismissed in Pickens County. They want the North Carolina case to be the only case. But I would really highly doubt if, that case goes away either. The judge in Charlotte is supposed to issue an opinion midweek this week. And so before the hearing in South Carolina, the judge should say, whether he thinks it's going to continue. Again, I think it will. And that it's kind of just, following both of them. It's just going to be a lot going on. What it all means at the end of the day, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it really is just more leverage against the ACC in terms of you have more cases you have to deal with. And then, we'll see kind of what the rulings end up being.
Is there, and if there is, what is the predominant differences in the case that Clemson filed in Pickens County and the case that the ACC has filed in Mecklenburg County? Are they effectively making the same arguments, but just in front of different judges?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote an article about the whole jurisdiction issue because, watching all this happen, I'm thinking, why does this even really matter? Will it matter? And the lawyers I talked to said, it's essentially the same case in each state. I mean, the ACC is going to argue that you signed this contract. It's black and white. I mean, in that hearing on July 2nd, the ACC's lawyers put up a picture of Jim Clements and former ACC Commissioner John Swafford and an ESPN rep saying, here, your president was literally heading up the board that was negotiating this and approving these contracts. You obviously were very involved. You knew what it meant when we said that your rights were with us. I can't say the word. You can't take it back. That word, irrevocably.
There it is. Nailed it.
There it is. Man.
What a pro, baby. What a pro.
I gotta try. Yeah. So that's what they're arguing there. They think the judge in North Carolina will side with them there, and in South Carolina, Clemson's trying to argue no. Like there are loopholes in here. We didn't give you all of those rights forever. We said our rights you have as long as we're in the conference. If we were to leave the conference, and you own kind of our replays forever. You don't own the games we play in another conference. So. And obviously Clemson must believe that it has a better chance of getting a favorable ruling in South Carolina. But again, talking to lawyers I talk to, you never know what a judge is going to do. So Perry H. Gravely in South Carolina might not agree with Clemson's argument, but they're going to try in both those jurisdictions. I guess the more cases you have, the more chances you have of actually getting a ruling that's in your favor. The question is what happens if you have conflicting rulings. Then you're going to have appellate judges, federal court judges, potentially the U.S. Supreme Court coming in and deciding between the two states what the correct decision is. So a lot of complicated stuff going on. I guess the big picture is that it's messy and that's going to keep going on for a little bit unless both sides decide to settle for some reason.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. I am obviously trying to track the ACC and Florida State cases as well, where they have kind of an identical situation. But I have spoken to folks that have said the reason the people in Tallahassee are fighting so hard is that they believe the legal landscape in the state of Florida is it's just kind of set up to treat IP differences like this differently than in other states. I'm not 1,000% sure. I haven't deep dive the intellectual property law in the state of Florida, but is there any sort of traditional difference in the way that state judges in South Carolina and North Carolina look at these cases that has been brought to you by any legal? Has anybody said anything to you that made you go, okay, this might be the difference between case one and case two?
Yeah, no. I asked, some lawyers and, some that practice in North Carolina, some in South Carolina. They were telling me that, there are very few differences between the two states. I mean, it's pretty much the same. I think I heard this last week. Someone said it's just more about they just don't want it in North Carolina. In North Carolina, you have a very experienced business court judge, Judge Bledsoe. He might be more black and white, or he might, more see it in terms of there's this nucleus of facts that occurs in North Carolina. It's not as favorable to Clemson, and he's looking at it saying, well, this contract was signed here. You have all these institutions from all these different states. This was even a question he put to Clemson's attorneys last week in terms of, can't this mean then Syracuse can sue the ACC in New York and Pittsburgh can sue the ACC in Pennsylvania? And what happens if all this happens? He seems more concerned about the implications, just all these different cases and all these different judges, dealing with it. And so Clemson wants to have, its options, and obviously to be able to try the case in South Carolina with a judge who's more familiar with them, who's literally 30 minutes down the road. Obviously, judges are supposed to be impartial. You hope he is. But at the same time, maybe they just feel like there's a slight chance that things are more favorable for them in South Carolina. But as far as the actual law between South Carolina and North Carolina, differences in intellectual property, I haven't heard anything in terms of, there's a huge difference, and this is why they would want it in this state or that state.
John Blau from the Post and Courier joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate, as he does every Monday at 8:40 to talk Clemson athletics. There was the other story that came out, John, that the ACC and ESPN had requested that Clemson move their home contest against South Carolina off of Rivalry Saturday and over onto a Friday night contest, and Clemson said no. The interesting part was obviously the email from the ACC to Clemson that was kind of kind of aggressive when it comes down to it. My assumption here, and correct me if I'm wrong, give me your thoughts on this. My assumption was Clemson's looking at this going, why the hell will we help you, right? Like, we're in 2 lawsuits against you. You're clearly trying to prevent us to reach towards what we think is our full potential. So no, we're not going to help you. Is it is there any tones to that, or was this just it's a better schedule for Clemson on a Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, you could read into that potentially that's there. I mean, it is kind of odd timing that, they're sending this email to them on May 7th, which is, a couple months after they've already sued you, kind of why you expect them to do X, Y, or Z to kind of accommodate. At the same time, I think that just Clemson has a very strong feeling about, Saturday home games. I mean, they want football played on a Saturday. Dabo Swinney has made comments about, I think he had to play on a Friday once in 2016 at Boston College. He was talking about, I really just want to be watching my kid right now in high school. I really don't want to be playing this game on a Friday. I think they know where Dabo stands on it, and I think they know probably where the fans stand on it. I mean, I was somewhat surprised about how much, Clemson, South Carolina fans were upset about the idea of it being on a Saturday. At the same time, I wasn't totally surprised because, just tradition is tradition. You play these games on Saturday. You don't want to play it on another day. So I think it would have taken a lot more. I mean, obviously, the ACC laid out all the concessions, quote unquote, they were able to get from ESPN to make it easier on them. But I think it would have taken a lot more. I just think they do not want to play a game like that on a Friday. And so they just said no, which is their option to say. And obviously a very strongly worded email from the ACC back. But again, like going back to the beginning, it is kind of interesting that you're expecting huge concessions from a school you literally just sued a month and a half earlier, and that school had sued you as well. So it is kind of an odd situation there.
Yeah, that whole thing was just kind of out there. Real quick before we let you go, anything that jumps off the page at you in terms of the recruiting front or getting prepped, as we are now, about a month and a half away from getting camps and ever closing towards football. Anything on the recruiting front jumping off the page that the folks need to know about?
Obviously, I don't know how much you brought it up in your program, but obviously got the quarterback for 2026, Tate Reynolds. Obviously, two-sport athlete. He's going to consider playing baseball to start his career. Obviously, it's very, very hard. I know Kyle Parker did it several years ago, but we'll see if that actually happens. But a guy that Garrett Riley really liked, I think he came to Clemson, actually kind of raw as far as football because he was really focused on baseball for a very long time. But big, strong kid. Great arm talent, obviously, again, baseball player, and they get their quarterback situation kind of taken care of for 2026. I know everybody's freaking out about David Sanders and Kamar Archie and Cortez Mills, all these guys going elsewhere in 2025. But, Dylan Alfred, the receiver they're going to look at Logan Anderson, linebacker, maybe to replace Archie. So they got some other options in 2025, but at least to get 2026 quarterback taken out of the way, I guess, can put everybody at ease a little bit, I guess, there.
John Blau covers Clemson athletics for the Post and Courier. Joins us every Monday morning at 8:40 to talk about what's going on. And I suspect we'll have a lot more courtroom questions for John Blau over the next few, I don't know, maybe forever. John, my man, appreciate you, big dog. Thanks for joining us as always, bud.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rob.
You got it. John Blau, Post and Courier. You can follow him on Twitter at John Blau, JON_BLAU. Appreciate his time every single Monday morning here on the radio program. This lawsuit thing is going to be complicated for a very long time. I have to tell you, I may have to get a separate pair of blenders just to keep here in the studio for the, I am sure, countless number of times that we are going to be getting into Law and Order ACC. Bum, bum, bum.
I hit it. I just didn't have it up.
Law and Order ACC. So we'll see how it plays out. All right. That's 2 hours. So that's 3 hours in the book.
You're trying to lose another hour.
No, I do remember all 3 of these hours.
Do you?
Okay.
You sure?
Like, one of the things that I love as a radio host is that I get to take traumatic things that happen to me and then turn them into funny haha stories for people to laugh at me on the radio. But I am not joking when I tell you, Great One, that I am legitimately having like fringe existential dread about finding out what happened to the hour of my life that just vanished this morning.
You may not remember this. I said it that way on purpose, but you and I spend a lot of time together. So I do know what you're going to do after the show and how you're feeling right now.
It's going to be a wholesale investigation.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah.
And
I will be going back to that. I will be texting the fiance, hey, did I get up on time this morning or am I just confused about that? I will be checking in to make sure that, like, did I actually let the dog out before I left, which is part of my routine. I will be looking and making sure, like, I remember to put undies on, so at least I know I was, like, in control of my day.
Allegedly. The question is, dude, I don't need to see it. Okay. All right. If she,
they got hearts on them.
Do they? I'm not surprised.
That's not true.
If she,
I do have those.
If she, of course you do. We all do. If she says that you got up late, that kind of solves everything, right?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, because
I don't think I did.
Because if you got up late, that means all your clocks are still set to Central Time, which wouldn't explain how you were on time all last week.
Right. I've been back a week and a half now. Like, this isn't new. Well, I've been back a week now. This isn't new. And on top of that, if nothing else, the 2 Alexas in my house, they didn't go with me to Florida. They didn't have time zone change. My phone changes automatically the second I cross the line. Like, I will not be able to rest, including my mid-afternoon siesta, until I find out where that hour of my life
Because
went.
now there's fear that if you go to sleep,
It is genuine fear.
If you go to sleep, you may lose more time than So
I'm going to wake up Wednesday if I fall asleep today.
If you wake up Thursday, you're in for a surprise when you get here.
Am I dying?
We all are dying, Rob.
Am I dying faster than I usually do?
Well, once you get over 30, I think possibly. I don't know where the peak is. If you got to look at the life expectancy of an American male in the United States, and then figure out where the line is where you're supposedly go down.
Yada yada yada. Alonzo, an
It's
hour of my day I cannot account for right now. I got Men in Blacked for an hour of my day.
I think that.
Have I had any unique opinions today that like Will Smith planted in the back of my brain? Have I said anything like out of the Rob Brown norm? I don't think I have.
Oh, there was one thing. One thing comes into mind. Good thing you forgot. You had to apologize for it.
Oh yeah, that was bad. Yeah, that was bad. Let's chalk that up to that. Hey, let's do the sports flash now.
While he goes in the other room and panics. Yep. The MLB All-Star teams have been announced. No Atlanta players are in the starting lineup, though. Pitchers Ronaldo Lopez and Chris Sale are both eligible to start on the hill. Marcell Ozuna was elected as the reserve designated hitter, as well as the Phillies had the most of All-Star selections with 7, while the Dodgers had 6. Alex Bowman has secured his position in the NASCAR playoffs with a win in a rain-shortened street race at Chicago yesterday. It's Bowman's first win since 2020 when he won at Las Vegas, and the 8th of his career. Hey, tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate. It's also a whole lot of fun. In case you didn't know, you should know. And it's all Wire to Wire.
Really bringing in the green. She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could have a whole section for ferns. Here we have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Everybody, great job. Let's go for our fifth grade class recital. Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart. Claim based on sequence-9 test under high-load conditions versus API-SP test limits.
WRBC HD3 Greenville.
The official sports voice of the Upstate fan. Odyssey Sports Nation.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Better than you, I am afraid to say.
Well, that was mean.
Chicago kicked his ass, man. Kicked his ass. He spun out in practice, jacked up his car, spun out in the race yesterday, jacked up his car again.
Oh, he's forced to drive 35. Who wants to do that?
I can't drive 65 in this race because there's too many turns, and also I got to go right, and there's no bank. Anyway. Yeah, it did not go great for Corey LaJoy at Chicago. It didn't go right for a lot of guys at Chicago yesterday. I will, however, say the race was good. I enjoyed the race at Chicago yesterday.
I was going to play Burn It Down, but that's already happened. So I just,
He didn't catch anything on fire.
No, the Great Chicago Fire. I know it's a really
history joke.
It was a historical
History
reference.
joke.
Yes, I would have thought that you,
History joke.
Rob Brown, would have got it.
I like it.
Maybe that's what happened. Well, your historical sense of humor is gone. Oh no.
I don't think so. I listened to a podcast last night about Daniel Morgan and the Battle of Cowpens again. I'm fascinated. So no, I don't think. Well, that was last night. That wasn't this morning. That's fair. No, I think I'm gonna go home and re-listen to it though. So maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe
something happened.
Maybe that's where the trigger happened.
Something happened to me, man, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'd like to. Hey, let's get to a bunch of stories here. Let's just run through a bunch of little stories here. Don't need to spend a ton of time on. LeBron James has signed his new contract with the LA Lakers, but he, for the first time in his career, did not sign a max value contract, a 2-year extension for just over $101 million. It'll take him through his 23rd season of the league. It edged Vince Carter's 22-year career, which is currently the record. The deal is approximately $2.7 million below the $104 million max. The contract includes a player option for year 2, which grants James a default no-trade clause if he plays 2 consecutive seasons on 1-year guarantees with his vet status. Rich Paul, the little finger of the NBA, told ESPN last week that James would be willing to take a pay cut to help LA land a, quote, impact player in free agency by opening up the $12.9 million mid-level exemption. That gesture went for naught as the Lakers were courting both Klay Thompson from Golden State and DeMar DeRozan from the Bulls, but neither ended up a Laker. Klay Thompson, of course, headed down to the Big D, and I do mean Dallas, to play alongside Luka and Kyrie. DeMar DeRozan, we found out yesterday, is headed out to Sacramento as Harrison Barnes was sent back to Chicago. A move that, honestly, I don't really understand. I don't think it makes Sacramento better. You just traded a guy who shoots 40% from 3 and made twice as many 3-pointers last season as DeMar DeRozan did for a guy that is a slasher but doesn't really have a shot. Like he's a good shooter, but Harrison Barnes is a better shooter. So I don't entirely understand what this move was meant to do for Sacramento. But LeBron James willing to take less pay to help the Lakers do something. Lakers fans just kind of poking him with a stick right now. Do something. You going to do something? You're not going to do something? And they have not done something yet. So that's kind of interesting. NASCAR. Speaking of NASCAR, we talked a lot of NASCAR earlier in the show, and we may get back to it at some point. Speaking of NASCAR, those of y'all that have been to a race, you know that the most electrifying moment in a NASCAR race is, gentlemen, start your engines. And hearing 1,000,000 horsepower roar to life on pit road before they take off for the warm-up laps. NASCAR unveiled its first electric race car on Saturday in Chicago. The Top Motorsports series in North America partnered with Chevy, Ford, Toyota, and electrification company ABB to demonstrate a high-performance electric vehicle and gauge fan interest in electric racing. NASCAR's head of sustainability, Riley Nelson, said that they want to represent electric vehicles and more broadly electrification in racing as cool, fun, and accessible. The AP got its first look at what is described as a $1.5 million prototype. The only person to have driven it so far is semi-retired NASCAR driver David Reagan. The plan is to put the car up on the Chicago street course for some laps yesterday. I have not seen if they were able to do so because of the rain and the delayed race, etc. Reagan said the sound and the smell was unlike anything he has experienced since first hitting the racetrack at age 11. He said the car had the power to squeal the tires. He said you could smell the brakes. He said in gasoline-powered cars, the engine sound and smell and heat from the exhaust overpower everything else. But after hundreds of laps, he said the car performed exceptionally well.
What happens if an electric car wrecks?
Same thing as when actually less dangerous than when a gasoline car wrecks. Yes.
Okay.
Gasoline is like driving a tank full of fire substance.
I get that. But
like, if you're gonna wreck, I'd rather. Let me put it this way: there is some.
And aren't electric batteries heavier?
Yes, but you are also dumping 40 pounds of fuel out of the car. They're not so wildly heavier that it's going to make a dramatic difference.
Okay, all right.
And there is, and I saw this on social media yesterday, and this is one of those times that Rob Brown.
So it has to be true if you saw it on.
No, I'm saying I went and jumped into the research of this particular prototype. There is some belief and acknowledgement. For instance, I saw somebody the other day ask the question, what happens if I'm on an electric boat and it sinks? It sinks. That's what happens.
What, were they worried about electrocution?
No, this individual said, yes is the answer. This individual said, if there's a shark 10 feet away and I'm on an electric boat and it's sinking, am I better off jumping towards the shark or going down with the boat? And the answer is the boat. I mean, neither, because if the boat sinks, you're in the water with the shark. So it's kind of a dumb question.
That sounds like more of a shark question than it does about what kind of motor you're using.
The premise of the question that was asked by this individual was, if an electric boat goes down, am I going to be shocked to death? And the answer is no.
That's
the answer.
I mean, that's I usually don't say questions are stupid. That's a pretty stupid question.
I don't disagree.
Because aren't you worried about being shocked on the boat? That's electric. That's in the water.
Again, it's also a battery.
Yeah, because
right?
water will splash into a boat sometimes. You got waves and things like that. I don't know.
I'm not saying like everything's hunky-dory. You're on a sinking boat. I'm just saying it's not. Anyway, the point here is they rolled out this electric race car. I do not have, in fact, I need to go see the results. I'm curious as if it got to like top speeds, but they also run it in Chicago. They ran it on a street course. It's not exactly it's not exactly going to give you the opportunity to truly and genuinely see just how fast this car would be if we ran it on a super speedway. I'm actually watching some of the clips from it now. And I mean, it just looks like a car, man. Like it just looks like a car. I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm curious to see if it can keep up. I mean, listen, if it can keep up with NASCAR, I don't know that you're going to put it onto the onto the track with stock car. Let me rephrase that. You can't put it on the track with stock cars. That's why it's stock car racing. But you could develop, NASCAR could develop a second series and have an electric series.
All right, I was looking at because I was curious, and lithium, according to the internet, lithium-ion batteries pack massive amounts of energy in small batteries, and when these batteries catch on fire, they are harder to put out.
Sure.
That's why that's why I was wondering. I mean, if it crashes, would it be more dangerous than when a normal engine?
Here's what I will tell you. From what I have read and what I have seen, the answer is no.
Yeah, Joe, it would sound like a vacuum cleaner race.
Let me rephrase that.
Joe says a NASCAR race without engine noise would be.
It would be.
Really,
it would be.
It just sound like vacuum cleaners. Or maybe pod racing. No, because those were big old engines.
I am not saying there is no danger to a lithium ion car battery. There obviously is. It's a ton of energy. It's a ton of electricity. I'm also saying these guys are sitting on top of 2,500 pounds of steel with stuff designed to explode as its primary fuel source. I don't think it's any more. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, and I will absolutely do the research behind it because I am truly curious, right?
Maybe you did last night or this morning for an hour.
And I hated it, so I blanked out. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I lost an hour of my life. I don't know what happened. What I am interested in is if it goes well. If they let's say hypothetically, if they crank out an electric car and let's say they take it to Daytona and let's say it can do a $195, right? Let's say it can do 195. Let's say it can do a $195 around corners and through the banks, and it looks and drives just like a NASCAR stock car, right? Same speed, same handling. Hell, let's say it handles better. It's not going to, because at the end of the day, you can only do so much with tires and aerodynamics. But let's say it handles every bit, if not slightly better than a traditional NASCAR stock car. Could NASCAR prop up a second circuit, right? Same schedule, same races, but you got the traditional stock car on Sundays and the electric cars on Saturday. I don't know. I'm interested. All I'm saying is I'm interested. All right. This is what I was saying earlier about NASCAR and about the Chicago race. Because my guy Cole Bryson said on Twitter on Sunday, you guys can keep the electric cars. You guys can keep the electric cars. That's not what he said. He said you can keep the street races. You can keep the street races. Just give me the... And I said, I don't know, man. Like, I want my NASCAR champ to prove that he's a versatile driver, right? I want my NASCAR champion to prove that he can drive super speedways and he can drive short tracks. And he can drive oddly shaped tracks like Pocono. And he can drive 1.5 mile cookie cutters. And he can drive street. And he can drive road. I want him to be able to prove that he is a versatile driver because I think it should be the best driver. And there are tracks. The 1.5 mile cookie cutters, as boring as they are as races, I have made the argument they do serve a purpose. There should be fewer of them, but they serve a purpose. And the purpose that they serve is that those tracks are not won and lost by the driver. On a 1.5 mile traditional cookie cutter track, those are not won by the driver. Those are won by the pit crew and the crew chief. Those are won by the engineers. Those are the ones that are won in the shop on Monday and Tuesday by the guys and gals that are working with the fiberglass and working with the metal and working with the engines and making sure that the gears are tuned the way they want them and making sure that the limits are set, et cetera, et cetera. That's who wins those races. It's made by the crew chief making good refueling strategy calls. It's made by the pit crew who may shave 1/4 second off of a pit stop for a driver who wins by 0.2. It could be any of those things. So I think there's importance there because I do think that the NASCAR championship should include crew chief. It should include pit crew, but it should also include the most versatile driver on the circuit. And having all these different tracks is important, but I also think that versatility in what product you're showing to your audience for a sport like NASCAR is important, right? I don't necessarily think it's that way for, say, football or basketball. I think for football and basketball and baseball, the game should remain the same because it's teams out there playing a game that we all know. I don't have an issue with NASCAR having multiple different tracks. I also don't have an issue with them testing out new tech. I also don't have an issue with them finding out what tech looks like, how it performs, the results on track, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have any issue with that at all. And so, to me, throwing this out, as much as a lot of folks, and I think I'm going to put Cole into this conversation respectfully, and I'll see if he wants to address it or not. But I think there are a lot of people who have the attitude of, that's not the sport the way I like it, therefore it is bad. That's not the sport that I want it to be, therefore it is bad. And nobody's...
What's wrong with that opinion? It's your opinion, and if that's what you decide, then you've decided that. I think the scary part is if a lot of people decide that.
The problem that I think I have with it is that if that is the way it operated, a lot of sports wouldn't be there. Go back to football in the 1930s or 40s or whenever it was that they adopted the forward pass, right? You couldn't throw in the old school of football, it was rugby. You didn't throw the ball. It was just 100% runs. And then one day, some big smart boy took a snap and said, wait. They think we're going to run it. So when you snap me the ball, what I want you to do is I want you to go line up over there, and I just want you to run straight down the field. I'm going to toss it. Oh, good friend, go down there, and I'll toss it to. I don't know why I was trying to do like an old 20s voice.
Yeah,
see,
so
you run down there, and I'll throw you
There
the
you
ball.
go. That's
see?
closer. You were going British.
I don't know where that was coming from. I am intrigued by, there's a gigantic ass spider building a web right outside the window.
Oh, I see it now.
He's a big boy. I am sure that when somebody threw the football for the first time, there was a lot of folks who went, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Like that. You can't do that. And somebody else went, why not?
Listen, it was the guy who's been on more memes this weekend than anybody in the history of mankind.
Rudy Poo candy ass.
Then I told Vince, no, we're going to call it WrestleMania.
You sick freak.
Rock's going down the Hogan path of just making everything up.
No, you haven't seen any of
Yeah,
this.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it
It's
yet.
because of from the documentary where he took credit for everything.
Mhm.
So now he just
We're just making
people are
that's the
making
meme.
fun of him.
I like
yeah,
the meme.
yeah, he's getting destroyed. He is.
So the whoa moment is, I'm sure there were a lot of football fans back in the day that when somebody threw a ball for the first time were like, no.
I think the bigger surprise is not that the guy threw it, but the guy caught it.
Yeah.
Someone had to catch it.
No, God, please, no.
Was the thought. But then what happened? A lot of other people went, well, let's try it. Let's see how this goes. Let's see how this works. Let's see what this looks like. And now we have football with Patrick Mahomes, which is better. It's just better. So I think, and I could be wrong here, and I'll be listening to Wire to Wire when he addresses it. I think this was just this isn't what I like, so it's bad moment from Cole. And I don't necessarily agree with it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Wesley, good to see you too, buddy. I know, he just disappeared.
Maybe.
Partial sunshine develops a high around 91. Some chance for showers and storms over near 74. Tuesday chance for storms high 94. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Blue cheats me on the Fan Upstate. Currently it's 75.
Oh, man.
Water Sports Spin, powered by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings.
The worst excuse in sports right now is the Braves aren't winning because the balls have been dead. Oh, because offense is down league-wide. Oh, the Braves are built on home runs, so they can't put men on base and score the old-fashioned way without hitting bombs. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of Brian Snitker not making any adjustments. Let's change something. The lineup, the approach at the plate, something has to give in order for this Braves team to be competitive and not get embarrassed night in and night out like they're currently doing. I'm not here for the excuses. I'm here to win games. This is Cole from Wire to Wire. What do you think?
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
This afternoon, 3 to 7 on the Fan. Upstate 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Ingles Markets is a proud sponsor of the Wire to Wire Sports Spin. From the playing field to the stands to your own living room.
Ryan said the halls look skinnier with the carpet in it.
He's not wrong.
Low prices, low savings.
I never really thought about that.
He's not wrong.
I guess.
Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Hirschman with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the secret to losing a half a pound to a pound of fat every day, naturally, safely, and effectively, without counting points or calories. No exercising, no prepackaged meals, no drugs, no surgery. Go to mynewlifeweightloss.com now.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. I went back home to Florida last weekend to spend time with friends and family. I haven't seen in a while, and I cannot tell you how nice it felt, thanks to my friends at New Life, to be down all this weight and have people telling me how good I look, to be wearing vacation clothes and feel like I looked good on vacation. It works.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's up to a pound per day. For your free consultation.
It's kind of true. I mean, it's kind of true.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
He's actually Pit Boy, but that's okay.
Nope, that's Fall Out Boy.
We're 2 months away from Mark Ryan realizing the mistake he made. The first snowfall in Detroit.
We'll check in.
I got to admit, I'm waiting for that. The first initial snowfall, they'll be like most people are when they're really in it. Even though his family's from New York, it's different when you're an adult and you're living there. First snowfall, you take the videos of being out there and all, it's so beautiful. And then when that snow doesn't go anywhere, it just stays there and more's added to it. And then you get the dirt and grime from vehicles going by, and the snow turns gray. I'm not obsessing. I'm just patient, and I cannot wait. That made no sense, but still, you know what I'm saying. Because you can't be patient and still say, I cannot wait. Or can you? I don't know. I'm 2 days away from vacation. Think of what I'm going to sound like Wednesday. Probably no difference. I mean, it's just normally what I do.
So the Atlanta Braves take 2 out of the 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies, the NL leading Philadelphia Phillies. By the way, a team that they have not seen since back on opening day. As a matter of fact, it was the 49th win for the Atlanta Braves. They are 49-39, 8 games back within the division. Pretty good spot overall. The Braves are 20-22 on the road, but they are 29-17 at the house. All 3 teams, the Phillies, Braves, and Mets at the top of the NL East, are 5-5 as it stands. The Braves with 49 wins would be in second place in both the NL Central and the NL West, if you are looking for an apt comparison. What happened? Let's look at this from a couple of different ways. Number one, and this is the thing that jumped off the page at me. Last year's Phillies are this year's Braves, and this year's Braves are last year's Phillies. Think about where we were at this point last season. Last season, at this point, The Philadelphia Phillies were hanging out around 8 to 10 games behind the Atlanta Braves. Last year at this point, the Atlanta Braves were the best team in the National League. Last year at this point, our all-star roster came out, and the Braves had seven players on it. This year, every one of those things is the opposite. This year, the Phillies are the best team in the National League, clear of the Dodgers by 3 games. This year, the Phillies have 7 all-stars on the all-star game roster. This year, it is the Braves who find themselves 8 games back, hovering between 11 and 7 for the past couple of months now. It's exactly the opposite. It is a mirror image of these two teams from where they were last year. All the things true of the Phillies last year, true of the Braves this year. All the things true of the Braves this year, true of the Phillies last year. Then what happened? We got to the playoffs. We got to the NL Divisional Series. And a Philly team that was second in the NL East, that was the last wild card in, the Phillies came and beat the Braves. Did you just beat them? Beat the Braves last year. So in a weird way, there's almost hope. There's almost hope in this, right? There's almost hope. If this team is doing what this team is doing, if this team is doing everything last year's Philly team did, and Philly figured out how to get hot headed into the playoffs, Philly figured out how to get hot before they took on Atlanta, Philly figured out how to get hot to win the wild card series, maybe the Braves can do it too as well. Now, the second part, where did this little 2 out of 3 game run against Philadelphia come from? It came off the bump. Now, the bats were hot yesterday. Jared got one. Matty got one. Eli got one. Who else? Duval got one. There was a lot going on with the bats yesterday. But we also know Atlanta has been very streaky with the lumber. It has been hit or miss with the lumber all season long. What's not been inconsistent? Chris Sale has not been inconsistent. Leads Major League Baseball in wins. Reynaldo Lopez has not been inconsistent. Reynaldo Lopez has the, 4th lowest ERA of the first 16 starts of the season in baseball history. It's like a 1.76 right now? 1.76. I mean, Reynaldo Lopez has been nothing short of electrifying so far this season. And the Braves are being kept alive because of it. The Braves are being kept alive. And it's fun to watch when they are good. So you take 2 out of 3 against Philly. I think you are, at this point, if you're Atlanta, I think you are basically trying to figure out where you're going until the deadline. There's a lot of injuries. Money Mike's injured. Ronald Acuna Jr. out for the year. Spencer Strider is out for the year. We know all of these things, all right? That is why guys like Eli White are getting called up and asked to do big things in big spots. And he did yesterday. He did. Chris Sale, by the way, on the bump today against the Arizona Diamondbacks out in Arizona. Chris Sale going to the bump is about as close to able to be confident as you can be in the Atlanta Braves right now. But I think at this point, the Bravos are playing towards surviving until the trade deadline. Survive until the trade deadline. I think that's the guy. By the way, Eli White, the homer masher from yesterday, from Greenville, South Carolina, as a matter of fact. How about that? So I don't have an issue with that. I do not have an issue with that. the last couple of years, the run for Atlanta was made post-trade deadline. I mean, they were good at this point last year. The World Series year, they were actually in a similar spot to this year, but it is going to be, the season is going to be dictated by Alex Anthopoulos, by the general manager. That's who's going to dictate what happens to Atlanta in the second half of the season. I think an outfield bat has to be added. Luis Robert Jr. from Chicago's in that mix. I'll tell you who I love. I love to see Tampa Bay legend Randy Arozarena. I know Randy's having a tough year this year, but Randy Arozarena is still a dude. And he strikes me as a dude that just needs a change of scenery. That's how he strikes me. He needs a change. You give that man a change of scenery, and I think Randy Arozarena can go back to being an absolute stub muffin. That's the move I'd like to see, him or Robert Jr. The problem you're going to have with the Braves, I think, as we approach deadline. The problem I think you're going to end up having with the Braves as we approach trade deadline is that there are way many buyers and way not many sellers. That's it. We talked about this a little bit on Bet for the Cycle on Saturday. Look at the National League right now. There are in the National League 2 teams that are out of the wild card race. 2. There's 2. The Rockies and the Marlins. There are 3 wild card spots. Right now, the Phillies would be in as the winners of the East. The Brewers would be in as the winners of the Central. And the Dodgers would be in as the winners of the West. The 3 wild card teams would be the 49-win Atlanta Braves, the 49-win San Diego Padres, and the 47-win St. Louis Cardinals. So who's not in right now? The Mets, 44. They're 3 games out. The Nationals, 42. They're 5 games out. The Pirates, 42. They're 5 games out. The Reds, 42. They're 5 games out. The Diamondbacks, 45. They're 2 games out. The Giants, 44. They're 3 games out. There are 2 teams not in the NL mix. And so my question becomes, if you are not in a wild card spot right now, but you are within, let's say, 4 or 5 games, you want to go for it, right? The goal is to win the World Series. To win the World Series, you got to get in the playoffs. So I think the goal for most of these teams is going to be go for it. But going for it for these teams that are hanging out at 43, 44, 45 wins, going for it means they got to be aggressive at the deadline. Got to be aggressive at the deadline. And in order to be aggressive at the deadline, there's got to be guys you can go be aggressive for. And I just don't think that there are right now. There are 2 teams selling in the National League. In the American League, the Orioles have 57 wins. They win the East. 56 for the Guardians in the Central. 49 for the Mariners in the West. The wild card spots today would be the 55-win Yankees, the 51-win Twins, and either the 49-win Red Sox or the Royals. So who's out of it? The Athletics with 34, the Angels with 37, the White Sox with 26. In all of Major League Baseball, there are 5 teams that are clear sellers. The Rockies have like 2 guys worth trading for. The Reds, and I'm talking position players, not pitchers. They have like 2 guys worth trading for. The White Sox have like 2 guys worth trading for. I don't think the A's have any. The Braves have already cleaned them out. And I don't think the Angels have any. So you got 5 teams that are sellers, and you have like 7 players available, none of them true superstars. I don't know what to make of it if I'm Atlanta. You want to be aggressive? I don't know how you can. Let's wrap up the show next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
we know that big dreams don't always make it to the big ones. But we also know that baseball, it's family. It's about building character. And as sure as there'll be some stumbles on that journey from first to home, we'll be right there, cheering you on. This is baseball, and this is who we are. Ingalls, we're with you every step of the way.
Ever had your singing lessons cut short by icy water? I'm sorry. Say goodbye to those cold notes with Navien Tankless water heaters. With Navien, you'll hit all the right notes without the surprise chill. So keep singing and let Navien keep the hot water flowing. And get ready for the encore when you get your utility bill. Navien Tankless water heaters. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com.
The wait is over. Dell Technologies Black Friday and July deals are live. Check out incredible savings on select laptops and more, like the XPS 15, powered by Intel processors. The XPS 15
Yeah, I was going to say if Philly can't use the Harper Schwarber injuries, I mean, they can. It's a reason that they're struggling right now for sure. But Atlanta lost Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider, two of the best. Joe says 20. I'd say 10 best players in baseball. 15 for sure.
Because it stinks, boys. I've watched it so many times, but the odor won't come out. No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor. Wow, it worked, guys.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, The
I'm cold. It's cold.
It is cold in here.
In the studio.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you on a lovely Upstate Monday morning. Sky is beginning to clear off, which is nice. A little blue sky day. College football national championship winner odds have begun to shift a little bit due to the spring, due to new information, and, of course, due to the money that people are putting in right now. Georgia remains your odds-on favorite to win the Natty this year. They are now 3-1. That number has come up a little bit. Ohio State is now your second most either bet or believed in team at plus 325. What I'm more interested in is the big drop down after that. Georgia 3-1, Buckeyes plus 325. The next team you find up is Hoomst. Great one. Who's next on the list of most likely national champion according to the Vegas odds?
Alabama.
They are 5th. Texas.
Okay.
Can I ask a sincere question? Why is everybody jumping on Texas all of the sudden? Is it because they beat Alabama last year? Like, is that the reason that everybody is jumping on this? Because I kind of don't get it, if I may keep it a buck, so to speak.
Where does Texas play now? What conference?
That would be the SEC, where it just means more.
So they expect them to. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's my thing. And again, we could theoretically, I guess, say the same thing about Georgia, except for obviously Georgia has dominated this conference up until the SEC championship game last year, which they lost to Alabama. It knocked them out of the college football playoff and obviously sent Alabama in Florida State's stead. Here's what I don't get. Why? Like, I truly don't understand it. I think Texas is going to be good. I think Texas is going to be fine. I will say first and foremost, and this is one thing I don't get. I don't get how Quinn Ewers is a Heisman favorite coming into this year already. I truly don't understand that at all. Like, I think Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback. I'm not losing my mind over him, man. Like, I think he's good. But I'm not beating the warhammer that Quinn Ewers is a Heisman lock to be in New York. I think he's going to be fine. But he doesn't have a deep ball, and I legitimately think you kind of need a deep ball to win the Southeastern Conference. I don't think you can win the SEC without at least being a deep threat. And I don't see him as a deep threat. Like, I think he's fine. I think he's got, for all that Lonzo has discussed about Bryce Young's footwork, I don't think Quinn Ewers has excellent footwork. I don't think he has Heisman championship caliber footwork. I think he's fine. You lost John Brooks. You lost Adonai Mitchell. Like, I don't get how it is that the eyes of the nation are upon UT all the live long day. That makes sense to me. After Texas, this is another one that's interesting. The second Big Ten team makes the list, and it ain't Michigan. It's the Oregon Ducks at 8-1. Actually, don't dislike this one.
Man, it's going to how long is it going to take to get used to that?
The Oregon Ducks being a Pac-10 team?
No, Big Ten.
Excuse me. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know it is after July 8th that it will. As it was earlier when I read the words Power 4, and I was like, blah, 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 what? Oregon is 8-1. I love Dan Lanning as coach. I love Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning does everything right. I think Dan Lanning is the perfect mix of player coach, but also guy who has a disciplined football team. I think you go back and look at what Oregon accomplished last year. The only team that could take down Oregon was Washington, who made it to the Natty. I think this Oregon team's going to, and they got a lot coming back next year. They don't have Bo Nix coming back, but I'm going to be straight up. I don't think Bo Nix was what made that team special last year. Bo Nix was captain checkdown last year. He's good, but I don't think he was great. I don't have a lot of expectations for Bo Nix at the NFL level for that exact reason. I think he's fine. I don't think he's going to be a world beater. Oregon's bringing back a lot of talent. And then you drop down again. So we went from 300 and 325 to 775 and 800. And then we dropped down, great one, to Alabama, 15-1. Plus 1,500 are the Crimson Tide. As are Ole Miss. That one I don't get either. Y'all know I love me some Lane Kiffin. All right. I love Lane Kiffin, the troll. I love Lane Kiffin, the internet warrior. I love Lane Kiffin, the smartass. I love Lane Kiffin, the self-proclaimed portal king. I love Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin's good for college football. I also think Lane Kiffin is great for sports talk radio. I love Lane Kiffin. I do not get Ole Miss at 15-1. Somebody explain that to me. Why are we doing this again? Why do we do this with the Mississippi teams every year? Every year we pick one to say, this is it. This is the year. But somebody explain to me why I'm afraid of why am I supposed to be afraid of the SIP?
They got to put somebody in there, so why not them?
Well, because right after Ole Miss comes a 17-1 LSU team that will be better. Then a 20-1 20-1 Penn State team who is tied with Notre Dame. I understand the narrative about Penn State. Can't win a big game, right? It's like they're in it every year, and then every year they get slapped in the mouth by either Michigan or Ohio State or both. They beat everybody else. It is wildly frustrating. I bet if you took James Franklin's winning percentage at Penn State and you erased only games against Michigan and Ohio State, James Franklin's win percentage is probably like 98%. because those are the only teams that beat them over and over. Penn State, now that they can get into the playoff as the third best team in the Big Ten, if they are. By the way, I don't know that they will be. I think Oregon. Actually, I think Michigan will be the third best team in the Big Ten. I think Oregon's the second.
I was gonna say it would be interesting to see if there's a drop off with Harbaugh gone. So yeah.
Well, I will tell you right now that after Penn State and Notre Dame at 20-1, Michigan is 25-1 to repeat. It's fair though. You lost J.J. McCarthy, you lost Blake Corum, you lost half the defense. I mean, they lost Michigan lost a lot to graduation and to the NFL, like a lot to the NFL draft. It is going to take, and for the record, I love Sherrod Moore. I do. Like him stepping in as the interim last year. After the second game, he was the interim. I'm like, there's your next head coach if Jim leaves.
Yeah, he had the earpiece.
Conspiracy everywhere. I like him a lot, but it is going to take rebuilding time. Michigan and Florida State are tied at 25-1. Tennessee. This is another weird one for me. Because on one hand, I got guys like PJ Glasser from the BetQL Network telling me, oh, don't you worry about this, Cat. Don't you worry about this. Tennessee is going to be studly. Tennessee is going to be a team, a bunch of dudes. They got Amaliva playing quarterback. He's going to be a great player. They got all this talent like Squirrel. He's going to be great. Yet Tennessee finds themselves all the way down at 30-1. Tied, by the way, just ahead of, by the way, Mizzou at 35-1, A&M at 40-1, Utah at 40-1, and then great one, the Clemson Tigers at 45-1 to win the national championship. 45-1 behind Missouri? What? There are three ways of making a bet like this. The first way is to pick teams you genuinely think will win the Natty. Those are the Georgias, those are the Ohio States, and recognize that you're not going to get paid out as much if they win it. The second way that you can make these selections are narrative bets, right? Narrative bets. Here's the narrative bet. Narrative bet, Kalen DeBoer steps in and Alabama doesn't miss a beat. And Alabama wins the Natty in his very first year. That's a narrative bet. Doesn't necessarily think you think that's going to happen, but it's more along the lines of sports loves to tell stories within itself. And that would be an incredible one. And then there's the third, which is a value bet. Value bet is when you look and you go, this is unlikely, but not impossible. This is unlikely, but not impossible. And I know I'm getting really good numbers here. If Clemson wins the Natty, you win $45 for every dollar you put on the table. That's a ridiculous number, right? So what I usually do in a spot like this is I will make 6 or 7 bets, right? I'll pick a favorite, Georgia. Then I'll pick a second runner, Oregon. I'll pick a narrative bet, Alabama at 15-1. I'll pick a personal favorite, right? I'll pick a school I would love to see win, LSU at 17-1. And then you start looking down for your value bets. Florida State at 25-1. Tell you right now, you want to know what narrative I'm looking forward to? What happens if DJ Uiagalelei sets the world on fire in Tallahassee? I'm not saying he is. I'm saying what if he does? Narrative bet. And you get him at 25-1. And then I would bet a Clemson at 45-1. Why? Because the odds that they get it done are very, very low. But man, if they do, I'm going to make a ton of money. But Clemson being behind Missouri? Really? Explain that one to me, please.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
I was trying to figure out how to explain that one to you. And I
don't think you can.
Yeah.
Listen, Clemson is a long shot. Totally fine, right? Totally fine. Got a lot to prove. Clemson behind Missouri?
We'll see how it plays out. All right, the first thing that's Xing this morning is Agatha All Along.
Does that drop soon?
the trailer is supposed to drop today.
Dope.
That is why is Xing.
I'm actually pretty excited about that.
Supposed
Because
to be a horror.
yeah,
thing.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of excited about it because the character Agatha in the Scarlet Witch show, which by the way, I think of all of the TV shows Marvel's done, I actually think I like Scarlet Witch the most. I also like that Scarlet Witch very heavily leaned into the kind of crazy of Wanda, right? Agatha popped out of nowhere as a fan favorite. The actress was incredible. And the moment that towards the end when she went, and I killed their dog, I was like, oh, did it in a weird way of all of the chaos and destruction between all of that? Did Agatha saying, and I killed their dog, not like feel like it upped the stakes dramatically?
It was Sparky. Yeah. That's when it started.
I was like, oh, she's evil.
Kind of suspected all along. My favorite's still Hawkeye. The next thing that's
I really
Xing
like Hawkeye.
is John Cena.
John Cena, I see you, John Cena. We're going to talk about this when we do Fight Club on Wednesday this week because Lonzo's out on Thursday. John Cena announced his retirement from wrestling before Money in the Bank on Saturday evening. He did say that he will compete up through WrestleMania in Las Vegas next year, but that will be his last event.
He's now said he's going the entire year. So
he's going to. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
so
post WrestleMania, what do you do?
2025 is it for him, and
16. I'm not going to do that. The 16-time champ, calling it a career,
Man.
and one of the greatest.
Do they do it? Do they pull the trigger?
Giving him one more run?
Give him one more.
I absolutely think so.
I think so too.
I absolutely think so. Especially with, and again, they're not going to never say this is why, but especially with Rick going over to make an A-dub run, it would not shock me to see them put the strap on him one more time, even if it's just like a quick 1 month. Maybe he shows up on a couple of Raws.
They give it to him, and then a year later, Randy passes him up.
Yep. I would be willing to bet that.
All right. The next thing that's Xing, and I got to admit, I don't know why, but Al Capone is Xing.
Okay. So I did read somewhere, by the way, Scotty at BMW Texas show, he said, Rob, for Texas, it's NIL money. Okay. I might be. I just don't see the talent there. The reason, I don't know if this is a reason, I saw earlier that some previously unreleased autopsy reports were released on Al Capone. And now there's a bunch of conspiracy theorists up there arguing that maybe, because wasn't it like syphilis that killed him?
I believe it was syphilis while he was in jail.
A lot of people saying that, a lot of conspiracy theorists now saying that they don't believe that it was syphilis. They think the government straight up murdered him while he was in prison and then blamed it on syphilis. But apparently there's some new autopsy reports out there that may or may not play into it. I don't know yet.
All right. And the last thing that's Xing is Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry is trending because we all believe in Joe Hendry.
Yes, we do.
And also because apparently at the, I don't know if it was last night or on NXT last week, apparently Book got up and grabbed a I believe in Joe Hendry sign at an NXT event and ripped it in half and threw it on the ground and stomped on it.
Oh, that's not why, but I can't tell you why.
I also saw did they run a Joe Hendry video after the event last night?
That just him doing that right after the thing was over. That's all. Just really quick.
It's because we all believe in Joe Hendry. See you guys back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate later. Yeah.
That's what happened, Joe. Since I've learned the term couch pop, I couch popped last night when they did it, because right as they're going off the air, the symbol and everything showing, and there he was.
On the Tron?
There he was. Yeah, that's why everyone's going crazy, because that means he's coming back. We already knew the crossover and everything.
So there's a rumor going around right now that off the books, or at least trying to keep it off the books, that TKO is looking into acquiring TNA Wrestling now, since they're already, and that's why they're working closely with WWE.
Wouldn't shock me.
That this is all a fill out or the WWE, the NXT TNA crossover was kind of a feeling out to see if the two companies can mesh, and that TKO plans on buying TNA and making
So
it.
it's not a hey AEW, we can do this too. thing?
Correct. It's genuinely, can we fold TNA and keep everything in TNA the same, but have, I don't know, it's going to be interesting. All right, that's it, dudes and dudettes. I have to go do things now.
He's got to go find his hour. That's what
Legitimately?
he's going to do.
Not a joke. Like, legitimately, I have to figure out what happened. I'm freaking out, and not like haha funny. Like, genuinely, I am nervous right now. So I'm gonna go find that out. Yeah, I hope you all have a lovely day. Thanks for being here. I hope I'm here tomorrow. We'll see.
On time.
Goodbye.